Welcome, Notre Dame fans, to another edition of the postgame show here at Irish Breakdown, brought to you by FanDuel. I'm Vince D'Addario. That's Brian Driscoll. That's Trevor Trowbridge. That is Sean Davis. And we all just got to witness together as a little family Notre Dame's 41-40 loss to Texas A&M at home. So many things to talk about, gentlemen, and we're just going to kind of go around the horn here, and you'll notice that Brian is at home because Brian left at halftime of the game so he could properly collect his thoughts on this one, and I know that he has a lot of thoughts to give us. So, folks, it's okay to be upset because this was an upsetting night to sit through and watch. So, Brian, take it away. Your thoughts on, on this game, on this team, on this program, whichever direction you want to go, man, because I know there's a lot to peel back here.
This is an embarrassing loss at the end of the day. This is a team that was just not coached well. It's kind of like last week. The only reason this game was even close is because Notre Dame has some really talented players at certain spots that just go out and make plays. And because they've got a redshirt freshman quarterback that freaking throws dimes. And they have some guys on offense that made some really big-time plays. This is an absolutely ridiculous performance. You go down and score a touchdown. And look, Tyler Buckner's got to hold on to that ball. You got to make that play. You're the holder. He didn't give up 41 points. He didn't allow them to go down the field 75 yards, convert a 4th and 16 because you freaking held because you're not trusting your technique, and then you give up another touchdown on, 4th and goal from the 11?
Yep.
Are you serious? Are you serious right now? Look, I didn't like this hire from Chris Ash, and I told people last week, guys, let's be realistic. This is not a Brian Van Gorder hire. I was wrong. Like, what I saw today was embarrassing. You want to be a zone coach? I'm fine with that. There are some – look, Pete Carroll built the Legion of Boom running zone almost exclusively, but you know what they knew how to do? They knew how to teach it. They knew how to teach actually how to play zone coverage. They were letting guys run down the field untouched all night long. And let's be honest about something. If Marcel Reed could throw a go route, they score a 97-yard touchdown right at the beginning of the third quarter. Christian Gray was cooked. He got beat all night. Carson Hobbs got beat all night. Devontae Smith has to be hurt. He has to be hurt. There's no excuse for him not to play. I'm curious about that. I told Sean Stiers to ask Marcus Freeman that at the press conference. But you sit there and you get in these situations, 1st and 10 at the 20-something yard line, and you go off coverage and just let him complete a quick, easy slant out of the gate. That is a soft mentality. That is a loser's mentality. That is I don't want to give up the big play mentality. I think I texted you guys after they called holding on the kick return, and I was like, I kind of almost wish they'd have let him go down and score, because at least Notre Dame would have got the ball back at that point in time. This is an embarrassing loss. This team looks nothing like the team they were a year ago. And I don't mean like personnel. I mean, they were a very well-coached, disciplined football team last year. This team has no discipline. They make stupid mistakes and just go out there and do not play like a well-coached football team at all. At all. And it's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to see another wasted opportunity. Trev, you and I talked about this all summer. Can Notre Dame follow up a good season with another good season? And you come out and lose first 2 games of the year, and in both games, your offense either tied the game or gave you a lead with less than 5 minutes to go in the game, and in both times, you let them go down the field and score an easy touchdown. Or score a touchdown, or score, I should say. That was a bad loss, a disappointing loss, a loss that was contributed to by the offense, by the special teams, and especially the defense. Because at the end of the day, Like, there's things the offense has got to do better. CJ can't make that play where he got picked. The offensive line's got to do a better job in the run game. There's this, there's that. There's things you can point to since the offense got to do better. They scored 33 points. I mean, what else do you want from the game, fellas? The defense gave up that bad play at the end of the game. I mean, special teams gave up that bad play at the end of the game. They scored a touchdown. They pinned A&M at the 5-yard line or deeper twice. And on one of them, you gave up a touchdown. And on the other one, you would have given up a touchdown if your quarterback knew how to hit a go route. And then on the next series, he's got a guy wide open on a go route, and he overthrew him again. I think the only time Notre Dame stopped Texas A&M tonight was when Leonard Moore picked off a pass or when they false started 3 times and got themselves in terrible situations. But then the last time you bailed them out. You gave up 488 yards. Marcel Reed threw for 360 yards on 17 completions. You don't have answers from Mario Craver? Look, here's the deal. This is a bad loss. This is an embarrassing loss because of how they lost. Not that they lost to a good football team tonight. That's not a great football team. That's not a great football team. You made them look way better than they are. But this is one of those kind of losses, fellas, where you got to sit there and say, this isn't just about cleaning some stuff up. This is some serious soul searching after this one, fellas, because it's back-to-back games. Yeah, you lost to good teams, but you've got more good teams. Did anybody watch Arkansas's offense tonight against Ole Miss? They're going to be able to move the ball and score. Anybody watch USC so far this year? They're going to be able to move the ball and score. I am not looking forward to watching Notre Dame defend C.J. Bailey. Are you? Anybody watch Dylan Lonergan so far this season? You looking forward to defending that? Like, this is one of those things where I didn't love the hire when they made it, but you got to trust Marcus Freeman, right? I mean, he knows what he's looking for, but you come out and you say, guys, you can't get this bad. This isn't about personnel. Do the players got to play better? Yes. But you got to get put in position to play better, fellas. And tonight they did not get put in position to play better. This is an embarrassing performance by the coaching staff. Notre Dame has been outcoached twice so far this season, in really most phases of the game. And I'm disgusted by it. Disgusted by it.
Trevor, what do you think?
Look, one, Brian hit on all of the major talking points. I couldn't agree more. At the end of the day, I was thinking this about midway through the third quarter. And it was something that, the offense was trying their best to, keep Notre Dame in the fight like they did last week. But you had 2 weeks to prepare for this team. 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Tackling was abysmal again. Couldn't get a consistent push in the run game again. You couldn't generate a pass rush again, and your nickel corner got beat like a drum for 60 minutes again. You had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. It's going to be one of those seasons, fellas, that we talk about for years to come of the what if. Honestly, and that's how I feel right now. And that stinks. That's a really, really crummy spot to be in. Execution on all levels was very poor. You look disorganized. Defense can't get lined up in time. Offense can't get play calls in on time. And what did we talk about on Thursday, Brian? Special teams can do no harm. And up until that point, I thought it was fine. But here we are. Again, that's not the play that lost you the game. And I know that's going to be a very easy and a very lazy takeaway for most, but it's not. Tyler Buckner didn't give up 41 points. Just didn't. I know we're going to dive into more offense and defense, but this is just extremely disappointing. And this goes to show you why at the college level coaching is so important. Because you can return Leonard Moore and Christian Gray and Drake Bowen and Kingston Viliama-Asa and Jalen Sneed and Jaden Osbury and Boubacar Traore and Bryce Young, and the list goes on and on. This is a completely different product, gentlemen. and they're put in bad spots. They're not put in spots to win, and something has to change. Just has to. How are we in a spot where the offensive line is allowing free rushers into the backfield on run game? How does that happen from the second level? How does that continuously happen? Multiple occasions throughout the game. How does that continue to happen? Why? Because of coaching. You had 2 weeks to prepare for this. Your defense gave up 27 points on the road. And then to answer the bell with a bye week, you give up 41 points at home to a quarterback who completed 46% of his passes. That's what I think. I know we're going to dive more into it, but yeah, this one's rough.
Sean, thoughts from Chicagoland?
Well, Trev and Brian covered just about everything, so I'll keep it real simple. Fan base was lied to. His defensive coordinator came in and said this was going to be Notre Dame's defense. He lied. It's nothing like the Notre Dame defense we've seen the last 2 years. They don't know where to line up. They don't know what the coverage is. They haven't been coached how to zone. Like Brian said, Brian, I told you over the summer, one of my major concerns, where's the pass rush coming from? I don't see it. As outside of Boubacar, I just don't see it. I was hoping certain people would step up. I don't see it. And here we are sitting in this position. I'm going to make a plea to Notre Dame fans because I know some crazies are really going to probably do some stupid things this week. This game wasn't about Tyler Buckner. It wasn't. It's a bad moment. I'm sure no one feels worse than him. But everything that manifested itself tonight is so much bigger than Tyler Buckner. So much bigger than Tyler Buckner. And I'll end it with this. Your head coach is allowing it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He's a defensive coach. He's sitting there watching it happen, and he's not going to the defensive coordinator saying, do this. Because I know that's what Kirby Smart would do. I know that's what Nick Saban would do. So we can sit up here and talk about Chris Ash. No, this lays right at the feet of the head coach. It's his defense. He should take control of it. And it should have had to wait for over 250 yards in the first half for him to say, all right, we're changing something. You're sitting out there looking at your Carson Hobbs is screaming at Christian Gray as if he doesn't know what to do. And Christian Gray is playing like he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. It's absolutely insane. So we can sit here, talk about all the different things Trev talking about. I first of all, I have no clue how they didn't recognize that all Texas A&M was doing in the run game was we're not going to let Jeremiah Love get outside. That's the safety's responsibility. Come down, cut off the outside, force him back inside. And they always had more bodies on the side of the tight end all night. And Notre Dame didn't adjust in the run game. Just ran right into it all night. Creativity on offense from a formational standpoint, man, is it because of the lack of tight ends? Is it because of certain things? Jaden Greathouse makes one good play and all of a sudden he just disappears. It's just certain things. And we're saying this and they still put up 40 points, which is crazy, right? And two of the drives that ended in field goals, they probably could have scored touchdowns on those drives. It's just one of the most frustrating losses I've been a part of. I've been a Notre Dame fan a long time. This is one of the most frustrating losses because I feel like you faced a team that you didn't play well against, and they tried to give you the game. What did they end up with? 12 penalties? They literally tried to give you the game.
13
penalties.
I think
13.
3 on the last drive alone.
That's crazy.
3 false starts on the last drive. They converted a 4th and 16 and a 4th and 11.
13 penalties. Embarrassing is probably being nice, honestly. It's crazy. Crazy. But you knew once going back, Notre Dame fans that felt this is 93 Boston College, for you Notre Dame fans that were around. The Pete Bursis dropped interception. You just had a feeling Boston College was going to drive down after that and win the game. And when he threw that lollipop in the end zone into double coverage and Notre Dame couldn't come away with the pick, it was just like, all right, I'm just waiting for something to happen. I'm wondering what you guys thought of the timeout prior to the 4th down.
I get what they're doing. They're trying to see what Texas A&M does. I've never understood that, honestly, because like what coach is going to go out there and say, well, we showed them that. Let's go show them exact same thing. They had no momentum. You had all the momentum on your side. They had the crowd on your side. Marcel Reed was speeding things up. He wasn't looking comfortable, and you allowed him to calm down. You allowed him to calm down. Look, they didn't get beat because of that. I mean, I think the play before, ball hits your DB right in the hands and he can't catch it. You know, I mean, just, yeah.
There were numerous dropped interceptions today.
Yeah.
By the way,
like 2 on the last drive, right? I think, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's
Christian Gray had one early in the game.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right through his hands.
Yeah, that and look, yeah, Donovan Hines was held on that last play. Maybe he gets to the quarterback, maybe he doesn't. It shouldn't have come down to that. It shouldn't have mattered. Like, why'd they get down that far? Like, what are you doing? Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow, guys. And when you look at the way this game went down and the outcome of this game, we'll have plenty to talk about, you know, as the week progresses as to, you know, what this means for the season and, you know, all of those things. We're not going to really go down that road tonight. But we will go down that road. Don't worry. We will go down that road.
We can kind of go down that road a little bit tonight. I mean, because Vince, you're doing what I've told you not to do. I mean, you're doing what I've told you to do. Excuse me.
I was going to say, wait.
But I do think that it matters in this instance because, like this was what we said on after the last game. Trev and I talked about it, I think, on Tuesday. This is the game where you show your football character. This is the game where you show what you're made of. And look, I think the players played hard. I mean, I think Notre Dame players delivered some big-time hits in this game. I still think that targeting call on Don Schuler was absolute garbage. But like, again, that didn't cost him the game. You could look at, well, the refs this and look, at the end of the day, the refs aren't why you got guys running down the field wide open. Like this
called 12 penalties on the other team or 13. Don't blame the refs, man.
Right.
Like, come on.
Right.
No.
So look, the reality is the players played hard. They didn't play well. This wasn't a game where I felt like they didn't want to be there. They didn't act like they didn't care. They didn't respond to adversity. Like, this is a team that was not prepared. This is a team, like, it comes down to this, guys. If I can just say this, the problem that I have is I don't know how quick the fix is, because the reality is this is not a well-coached football team. This is a football team that makes silly mistakes. You know, you how many run-throughs did we watch tonight from the offensive line? Like A&M made some good adjustments against the run in the second half, and Notre Dame did nothing to answer it. You can't tackle. Like, seriously, you can't tackle. And you're playing all this zone, and then your star corner goes down. You put a true freshman in there. Then you want to play man? and he gets beat with a double move, that's when you don't want to bracket and help him out. It was this wasn't a lack of players playing hard. I will give them that. At no point in time did I feel like, boy, they're just not playing hard. Playing hard's part of the equation, but this is Notre Dame. You're supposed to play hard and play well. And you're just not putting your players in position to be successful, and you're not coaching them. I mean, like we talked about some of the offensive line stuff. We've talked about, receivers not getting off the line. We talked about, your quarterback not understanding what to do with the ball when he gets pressured and there's not a receiver nearby, which he's had, 3 intentional groundings in the last in 2 games. You're talking about, muffing a punt. You talk about you give up a kick return for a touchdown. I don't know how to view that one because, the guy right in the middle of the lane he runs through gets, tackled to the ground. But, you're letting guys – Carson Hobbs just giving you the inside on the seam like he thinks he's going to get help, but there is no help. You got Mario Craver running wide open on an over route. You've got, a holding penalty by a 2-year starting nickel or, cornerback who's regressed. You got Bryce Young not knowing how to set the edge on a third and third and it's almost like if you're in a 3rd and 2 against Notre Dame, take 2 false starts. Because it's almost like if you take 2 false starts, you're in a better situation to convert it on 3rd and 12 than you are on 3rd and 2. Have you guys ever seen Notre Dame give up this many 3rd and longs in back-to-back games? It's embarrassing. They gave up a 3rd and 11 or 3rd and 12 late in the game on a run? On a freaking run. This is not a well-coached football team, fellas. It's as simple as that. It's still a talented football team, which is why they've been in the last 2 games. It's not a well-coached football team. And that's the most discouraging thing. And it's not just Chris Ash. Chris Ash is a big part of it. Mike Mickens didn't all of a sudden forget how to coach defense. Al Washington and Max Bulla didn't all of a sudden forget how to coach their positions. Didn't just all of a sudden happen. But at the same time, you are the position coaches and you are responsible for those things. You've got an offensive line filled with guys that have played a lot of football and they've regressed since last season. And as I watch Rocco Spindler ball at Nebraska, by the way, just want to remind you of that. I get a note from a buddy, your 5-star, freshman left tackles playing guard on the scout team during the week of practice this week. This is just not a well-coached football team. Jaden Greathouse has been targeted once tonight. Once. Made a play, 34 yards, 1 target. You were in this game tonight because CJ Carr is a freaking stud thrower. Malachi Fields is a stud. Eli Raridan's a stud. Jeremiah Love's a stud. Jadarian Price is a stud. That's why you were in the game tonight. That's why I was even in the game. Is CJ making absolutely the throw he made on the final drive where he throws it to Malachi Fields between 2 guys? Who does that? It was an insanely good throw. That's the only reason you were in the game tonight, because you have studs on offense. It wasn't because of coaching. There's one good play call tonight that I really liked, the flea flicker down the field type. But man, you just got to make more plays. Got to make more plays, and you've got to be coached better. And that's when you talk about the rest of the season, Vince. I was on a show with an A&M guy, and I said, "Look, if they lose this game, I don't know that Notre Dame's a playoff team, because my point is who they going to beat that's good." But he's like, "Oh, they're going to get in at 10-2," and I said, "Man, I hope you're right." But right now, you literally it's September 13th, and you basically just already choked away your opportunity to
control it. To be in control of it.
Yeah.
Could Notre Dame get in at 10-2? Sure, but they have zero control over their destiny as to whether they're going to get in or not. They're going to obviously have to rattle off 10 in a row. They're going to have to do it with some sort of, hey, look at us, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to get help. They're going to have to get help. And even if they do get that help and they get in, they're going to be on the road. They're going to be going down to an SEC team someplace. It's going to be a monumental task in order to advance, even if you get in. So, no one should be thinking about December right now. Like, remember last year after they, exactly a year ago when they lost game 2 to Northern Illinois, and we're like, this is a 1 week at a time situation. This is where Notre Dame is again. This is a 1 week at a time situation. They can't be thinking, well, now we got to get 10 in a row. Like that. That's not how you get 10 in a row. You've got to go week to week. And if they get, like I said, even if they get 10 in a row, they are no longer in control of their destiny. Now,
and it's your fault.
100%.
Look, I mean, A&M played hard. They did some nice. A&M didn't go out there and like just put on this brilliant performance. You're like, wow, like just you gave them. It's like Sean, you said, I think it was you that said this. They tried to give you that game at the end of the day. They tried to give it to you. Throwing the ball up, false starts, and you just like, nah, guys, we don't. That's not fair to you. We shouldn't let you have all them penalties. So the frustrating thing, Vince, is I don't know that you can. I don't know how you fix this. I don't know how you fix this. Like, and that's the frustrating thing, because it's not something that's a simple make a couple adjustments here, make a couple adjustments there. You had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Trev said this. You had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and this is what you thought was going to work for you. This is it. This is the 2 weeks of preparation for you. You're letting run-throughs on the offensive line. You can't cover anybody on defense. Like this is what you did. This is who you are. Like,
yeah. No, you're up. This is like we've seen it 2 weeks in a row, right? I mean, this is who this Notre Dame team is right now, and they're going to have to do some soul searching real fast.
There's no answers. Can one of you guys look this up while we're talking, Vince? Maybe you could do this. When was the last time Notre Dame gave up over 40 points in a game? I'm very curious about that, because they didn't give up 40 points in any of the losses last year. They didn't give up 40 points they had 3 losses in 2023. I don't believe they gave up 40 in any of those games. But like, I hate to say this, but when they got the ball at the end of the game, did any of you guys have any hope that they were going to actually stop them?
No.
Like, I honestly thought they were going to go down and score. I just was hoping they didn't use too much time. And that's the best thing A&M did, is they went with pace, but not too much pace. They didn't want to leave too much time on the clock. And I think I texted you guys after the first play. I said, I wish something like when Mario Craver was wide open on a slant route, because they were playing soft coverage on that play. I said, I kind of wish that they would just gone down and scored on that one, because at least the offense would have had a shot to go down and score.
I wish the kick return would have counted.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have gotten the ball back with 2 minutes and 53 seconds left and 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
I'd have significantly more confidence in the offense to go down and kick a field goal to win than I would the defense trying to get a stop.
Sean, I'm curious, what were your thoughts when they got the ball? I honestly felt like when Buckner muffed the ball, and again, I'm not putting this game on Tyler Buckner. You got to do your job, but I'm not putting this on him. I honestly said to myself, I was like, they're going to lose, because I had zero faith that Chris Ash was going to be able to do what he needed to do, because I thought he was going to play, he was going to coach, he was going to be chicken coaching. Let's play off coverage, give him space. Let's just not give up the big play. I can't stand that. That's I want to use another C word, but I'm not going to. It's just you coach like a chicken.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that's what I was feeling. I was so irritated by the botch point after attempt that maybe, I just felt like that was an omen more than thinking that the defense, because the defense kind of responded in a sense in the second half. I think I'm probably giving them too much credit, but up to that point, they had given up 2 field goals in the second half after giving up 28. So the performance had improved. I don't know how much you want to say it improved, but it had improved. And I just think, look, this game should have been put away early, in my opinion, the way Notre Dame came out and played.
Yeah.
And just mistakes, missed opportunities once again. not getting 7 to put 21 on the board. All of those things come back to bite you, right? And then you have control. 5 yards on first down. Leonard Moore gets injured. Colin Klein does what he's supposed to do. Oh, Leonard Moore's out. Freshman DB is in. Let's take advantage of him. And they took advantage of him and got a touchdown. So, and that kind of changed the momentum of the game. So it's extremely frustrating. But to answer your question, no, I can't sit here and say I felt the same way that you did. I did feel like that would be ominous, but I thought it was just going back to like just crazy coaching. Like, you haven't kicked to the middle of the field to Bussy all night. Even though you got the penalty on the play, why you've been kicking to the left, angled out of bounds. Now you kick it down the middle of the field. You haven't done it all night. And what happens? He returns it. So it's the coaching decisions from top to bottom tonight just make you scratch your head and say, what in the world are we doing? That man threw for 250 yards in the first half. Mario Craver had 170 receiving yards in the first half. It's laughable. It's like, literally, I have to laugh, guys, because if I don't, what will come out of me is something that I really don't want to display publicly. It's like, this is Trevor. I'm telling you, man, I understand how you feel and the disappointment not being able to get back-to-back great seasons out of this program. But 2016, I almost want to utter 2016 vibes. I really do. I almost want to say this could end up being a 2016 team because the leadership is questionable. How do you come out of tailspin like this when you don't have the leadership, right? Do they begin to fray? Do they begin to splinter? Right? Do they begin to look at each other and argue with each other? We already saw evidence of that on the field tonight in the fourth quarter. Like, Christian Gray is looking like Cole Luke all over again. Like, all of a sudden, what happened? What has happened to this kid all of a sudden? And right now, it has to be mental. It has to be mental. And I know his shoulder's but this shoulder being messed up a little bit has nothing to do with the mistakes. You could clearly see after the penalty, Mike Mickens is telling him, what are you doing? Why are you holding? You have the safety in the middle of the field. Play outside leverage. It is like, dude, just play fundamental football and you don't have to hold. And so I don't know what's going on. And unfortunately, you don't have a Leonard Moore. I don't know if you have a Leonard Moore waiting in the wings when Benjamin Morrison went down. Like, you have some kids that can be good moving forward, but you don't have a Leonard Moore sitting there. So everybody's like, oh man, put Christian Gray on the bench. And then what? You still got Chris Ash calling the plays. So I mean, no. I felt like they had a chance. I was actually being optimistic at that point, guys. I really was. But
Sean, I just felt that some of the stops that they had on Texas A&M in the second half were as much about Texas A&M as they were Notre Dame. And guys playing hard. There's some of that as well. But like I said, you had first two drives of the second half, you had guys open by 3-4 steps at least on deep routes, and he just missed them. Marcel Reed just missed them. Because, I mean, he threw for a bunch of yards today, but he was sub 50% completions. I mean, he went 17 of 37 in the game.
Brian, but see, that's the thing.
Yeah. 360 yards.
I don't want to utter the former DC's name. Obviously, he's not accurate down the field.
So what are you saying,
why
Sean?
not take away the middle of the field and
there you go.
And
there you
force him to beat you down the field?
Hey, imagine that.
If I can see it, he's not accurate throwing the ball down the field deep. So let's take away the throws that he does want to make, like the former DC used to do. He used to take away what the offense wanted to do. But no. First 2 games, the game plan is let them do whatever they want to do, especially on second down. Second down, we're going to be predictable and we're going to play zone. And at this point, I guess you just have to ride it out.
Well, yeah, I think you do need to make changes. I think, and what I mean changes, there's a lot of different aspects of this. You just can't keep saying, hey, we're going to do, I'm not saying fire this guy, fire that guy. I mean, personnel changes in the middle of the season can be difficult, but look, you can't just keep saying, hey, we're just going to coach a little better and play a little harder. You know, you just can't. You just can't.
There could be an alteration of duties, though, without getting rid of somebody.
You
know what I mean?
Go ask the coach that you just coached against tonight to see how that works.
Right.
Mike Elko took over play calling duties.
They did get torched tonight, though, as well. But no, I'm kidding, Trev. I'm kidding. You are absolutely correct.
I mean, he's not shy about asking opposing coaches that he lost to in Notre Dame Stadium what to do after a loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and by the way, Marcus Freeman threw his players into the bus tonight, and not as he was said, and I quote, Matt Fortuna tweeted this: if he would change Notre Dame's play calling, he said it's not the calls, it's the execution.
Wow.
Now, maybe I should walk that back. Maybe I should walk that back. I need to see his further context of what he said, because he might have maybe talked about how they weren't prepared to execute or something like that. But I'm actually going to pull up the transcript because. Yeah.
Is it out already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm actually going to look it up. So somebody said, as you evaluate your defense moving forward, is there any chance that you would change how it's called? Like, who calls it? Marcus Freeman goes, no, it's not the call. It's the execution. And I've always believed that. I think sometimes calling things, I've been a play caller at times, can be overrated as much as it's the execution of that play call. And that's what we've got to evaluate. Maybe we'll look and say we probably shouldn't have called this and that situation. There's things you always look at the end of the day. Why aren't we able to execute in a way we believe we need to and should? That's the question we've got to get answered. So that's not, I'll walk back to throwing the players under the bus, because that is a, it's all got to change. It's all got to be evaluated thing, but that's still a bad answer in my opinion. You know, like I don't know exactly what you want him to say there, but I mean, you just got to say we did. I mean, I'm frustrated by that. I'm frustrated by that. And part of me wants to be like, look, we defended him in the press conference on Monday, right? Like, look, we didn't defend him. We said, let's see what happens in the game. Like, I don't know what you want him to say in a press conference, but the reality is, Trevor, what he said in the press conference, we didn't see anything different defensively in this game. We saw a little bit of pressure at times on third down or long distance situations. But then when the game's in the line, we're back to this. Like third and long, and you just let a quarterback and you just drop 7, and then you give up the quarterback scramble for an easy conversion. You allowed conversions on the third. I mean, they've allowed at least 5 third and 8 or longer conversions this year, at least 5. And then, of course, the game-winning play, I believe that was 4th and goal from the 11, right, fellas? Wasn't
the last play? Yeah.
4th and goal from the 11. So you allowed at least 3 third and long conversions, and then you allowed a 4th and 11 conversion. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. You give me this execution stuff all you want. The guys are running wide open. Well, you know what? Maybe you did a piss poor job preparing your players to go execute in that situation. You know, so Vince, you are correct. There needs to be everything is on the table conversation tomorrow with Marcus Freeman. Like, watch the film. I mean, he's talked about he's going to go home and watch the film tonight. He always talks about that. I would imagine he's going to do that again. But everything is on the table. Everything is on the table.
Should be.
I'm saying, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would be surprised if that was the case, though.
To me, everything's got to be on the table. And hopefully we get the pissed off Marcus Freeman after this game. I haven't really seen that guy the first couple games, to be honest with you. And I'm a little frustrated by that. But I really thought this team was going to come back and bounce back from that season opening loss and just come out here and play really well. And I'll say, to their credit, they played hard. There's no doubt. I'm not sitting there, watching a double team. They said that they blamed it on Billy Schrauff, but it was a double team where Anthony Knapp just didn't get inside. He was playing hard. He just played with poor technique again. As a true sophomore. It's a true sophomore with 17 career starts. You can miss me with it's young guy mistake stuff, because he was better than that last year. When you see regression at this many spots, fellas, that's a problem that goes much deeper than your players. Much deeper than your players. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it, guys. Let's talk a little specifics on the offense and the defense, and we'll start. You know what? We're going to start with the defense today because I think that's the side of the ball that needs the most talking about. And so we're going to go away from our norm and we're going to talk defense first, because I just don't like, if as an offensive guy, like, you put up 40 points against Mike Elko's defense. Like, if you'd have told me that Notre Dame was going to put up 40 today, I'd been like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. They're going to win convincingly.
That's a dub, and that's a convincing dub. Like,
and they're going to get a special team score, and CJ's going to throw for almost 300 yards, and Jeremiah Love's going to have about 140 yards of offense. I'd have been like, sweet. They can't. Malachi goes off, and Eli Raridan goes off, and you're going to start the game off with a block punt touchdown. I'd have been like, dude, they're going to dominate this game.
430 yards of offense. Like, okay, yeah, that's going to be a win for Notre Dame at home. Yeah. All the things, and that was not the case. Couple of stats for you. Defense gave up 488 yards, 360 of them through the air, 128 on the ground. Let's see here. They were
21.2 yards per completion.
Yes, 4 of 11 on third down. Number doesn't look bad, but those 4 were massive when they happened, because I'm pretty sure they were all long, third and longs, but 4 of 11 that they converted. And I think the most disturbing stat of all is the fact that they let a receiver go 7 catches, and the Craver kid went 7 catches for 207 yards and a touchdown. He had 139 yards after the catch, and that was after numerous broken tackles.
Here's another stat, defensive stat. Texas A&M had 4 red zone opportunities and scored 4 touchdowns in those 4 red zone opportunities. You hold them to field goal once, and you win this game. Once.
I mean, their play chart or their drive chart was just, punt. One of those punts turned into a touchdown for Notre Dame. Then they went touchdown, interception, touchdown, missed field goal at the end on the gift potential field goal at the end of the half. Then they start out punt. Then they go field goal, touchdown. That means that they had
7 scoring drives.
Yeah, 7 scoring drives and 5 non-scoring drives, I believe. 6 non-scoring drives, and one was.
I'd say 5. I mean, that last one, I don't know that I'd count that as a non. You know what I mean? Like, they had 5 seconds.
That's fair. That's fair.
To your point, yeah.
So it wasn't really a drive; it was a gift because of a frustration clap,
right?
Which I've never.
Which, as a quarterback, you've got to know that.
Right,
but again, that's a redshirt freshman.
Total rookie mistake on that.
Yeah.
He's frustrated. He's like,
he's got to go tell him, "Hey, settle. We're not snapping." But that's the stuff you'll learn from.
Absolutely. I mean, and it didn't hurt them. They dodged a bullet on that. They didn't score.
Exactly.
So
it didn't cost them any points.
No. So it is.
They didn't lose that
what
game
it is
because of that.
But that's a learning moment, obviously. So defensively, those are some ugly numbers. there's some ugly play. I don't know what the broken tackle numbers are, but they're going to be high when it's all figured out and we go through the film and all of those things. So, Trevor, we haven't heard from you in a little while, and you got yourself a frustrated face there. So I want to give you a chance to talk about the defense and your thoughts on the defense specifically. And yeah, you can start with positions. I'm going to let you take it whichever direction you want. You can talk about them as a whole. You can start talking about a position group, however you want to take it. Coaching, you can go that route. We've already done that a little bit. But Trevor, the floor is yours, sir.
Real quick, Brian, did Coach Freeman say anything in his press conference about injury reports or why some players did or did not play?
Yeah, Devontae Smith got hurt in the pregame warm-up.
And that's the only injury he reported?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Josh Burnham didn't play in the game. He's dealing with a groin issue, I believe, but it wasn't – they didn't report it earlier in the week, and they didn't say anything before the game when they do these players are available like they used to. They said everybody's available, and
they were not.
Yeah. Now, I don't expect them to put the Devontae Smith thing because they usually do that before
they take
yeah. But yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions on why on God's green earth did Josh Burnham play 3 snaps?
Yeah.
But I guess
he's dealing with an injury.
The injury.
Yeah.
Did you say anything in there about Logan Thomas?
No.
Can't generate a pass rush.
He was good enough to rush the quarterback on 4th down against Georgia, but not against Texas A&M.
He was good enough to block the opening punt.
Yeah.
But I guess he had to save up all of his energy for punt block.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's easier when they don't block you. I mean, that makes it a little easier.
Like, fellas, I'm at a point where I don't even know where to begin on this side of the ball. If I'm being truly honest, I don't really know where you go from here. I would start figuring out your personnel. I love Mark Zachary as a player. He's young. The fact that he's your 2 deep at both the field and boundary corner positions, because we watched him fill in for both tonight. You know, we heard nothing but good things about how Dallas Golden wants to come in and play nickel, and he fits there, but he could play anywhere. And I guess the resounding answer is to have him play nowhere. Sure. You got a 6'5", rangy, speedy safety just kind of waiting in the wings for his opportunity. Just kind of hanging out, I suppose. I mentioned it already in the beginning, but this is just another game added to the laundry list of games that Notre Dame has yet to generate a meaningful pass rush. Added to the laundry list of games.
Another
meaningful games. Meaningful games. I mean, again, and I'm going to write about it this upcoming week too. And it'll be, add this to the list of Miami and Ohio State and Penn State and Georgia and Indiana. And I mean, it's just USC. I mean, it's this entire team. I said this about, the offensive line last week, but this entire team outside of a select few are now in show me mode. I mean, I just don't know if Notre Dame is capable of getting pressure on a quarterback, finishing with sacks. I don't. I'm it's really unfortunate. I understand you got to be, conscious around, players' health, not tackling in practice, but you got to do something because whatever you're doing is not working. I don't know if you're just rolling that big blue donut thing across the 40-yard line and having people wrap up and try to tackle that, but it's clearly not working, whatever you're doing. You go best on best, you might as well go live. You're not going to get much better practice than trying to tackle Jeremiah Love. I mean, tackling issues, coverage issues, once again. I mean, at what point do you just say, all right, scrap this, let's just go back to playing man. Let's just go back to playing cover 1 80% of the time. Because clearly what you're doing isn't working. And the personnel you're attempting to do it with is also not working. Here we are once again talking about how players in the secondary got put in bad spots. I can only continue to defend certain corners so long of, hey, he's just not good off man, and he's also just not good in zone, and he's also just not good when. Maybe it just got to be better sometimes. I'm sorry. Coaches, you got to put your players into better spots. And when players do get put in spots, you got to execute and perform. I said it earlier this week. Sometimes football is a really complicated game, and other times it's really simple. And if I'm coaching defense, there's very few people, and I think the list starts with number 15, and it might end there. Everybody's spot is now up for debate. It has to be. On the coaching staff, on the starting lineup, in the two deep, something has to be shaken up. Because you can't just roll the same thing out there and say, well, if we execute. I mean, sure, I guess if you execute a game plan that's vanilla and isn't necessarily working, then sure, maybe you'll be able to stop Purdue. But as of right now, Nitro Tuggle might have the best game of his career if he lines up in the slot. No confidence that they're stopping that. None. And unfortunately, that was my first thought of I don't want to watch them play Taylon Green or C.J. Bailey or Jaden Maeva and those receivers again, because those receivers ate up Notre Dame's defense last year. At this point, I'm worried about what Ryan Brown and Nitro Tuggle are going to do to this defense. Because there's just no answers. It's let's just hope they mess up, to Brian's point. Texas A&M stopped Texas A&M more than Notre Dame stopped Texas A&M tonight. Ryan Brown's about to throw from the cleanest pocket he's ever had. Because I have no faith that they're going to be able to get home. None. You're 1-3 now in home openers. 1-3. Fix it. By whatever means necessary that it is. I got nothing, man. I could go on and on about this defense for days, but at the end of the day, I just don't have any answers for what could be done.
Sean, you want to take the next slot here on the defense?
I thought Gabriel Rubio played well. I thought he played really well. I think he was a bright spot. For the most part, I thought the linebackers brought a lot of physicality. KVA played well. Drake had some big hits, was all over the field. Look, he was in coverage on the last play and just overran it a little bit. You know, Marcel Reed underthrew it, overran it a little bit. He probably should have got on his hip. Mm-hmm. But, you know, he just overran it a little bit. Tight end kind of stopped and turned and caught the ball. Wasn't like he was out of position or had horrible coverage. So I think the linebackers played well. Once again, Adon Schuler out of control, you know, missing tackles, coming down. You know, Christian Gray, I don't know what's going on with that young man.
That tackle, I love Christian.
And now that I know, thinking about the tackle on the Craver touchdown, It was a poor effort. I know he was trying to stay awake because of the leg. He was trying to use his right shoulder, but you still have to go ahead and wrap up. If you're going to play
down.
Yes, right.
I love the kid. He's a great kid. But he was bad.
He was bad
tonight.
He was beyond bad in so many different ways. So many different ways. You know, and usually he'll respond and have one or two big plays. But it was just all bad tonight. Just all bad. Did I really see Leonard Moore come on a corner blitz?
Yeah, right after he got hurt. Like right when he came back in from getting hurt.
And got completely stoned by two guys at the same time, and he immediately started limping. Like
what? After he came back from getting his ankle rolled.
What are you doing? That's the...
I was like,
sorry.
You got to be kidding me.
I'm like, are you trying to get him hurt?
Just came off the field and had to get his ankle ripped. I thought of season that looked so bad on TV.
Yeah, I thought it was a knee.
He's done. Oh, I thought it was done. I thought it was his knee.
Yeah, I thought it was a knee initially.
100%.
So
I told you guys in the chat, I was like, oh, he's done.
And we're all thankful that he's back on the field. And it's like, no, wait, hold on. I'm Chris Ash. I've got money on the game. I want to make sure that Moore is out. So I'm just going to blitz him off the edge so that he can get stoned by two guys and hurt himself again. It's like, extremely frustrating.
I think Boubacar had a big mistake. on that last drive, coming upfield a little bit too far.
That during the week too, Sean. You can't go run past the quarterback.
No.
That
No,
happened
and they
way
had done
too much tonight.
They had done a pretty good job of, when he was pushed to outside, somebody spied him. They didn't let him break off a run, but that was a big run, I think, to get it down to the 11-yard line. So I think I understand what Marcus Freeman was trying to say. Just take, for example, the holding call on Christian Gray. I mean, like they have him in position. I think Drake ended up knocking the ball out of the receiver's hand because they said it was called an incomplete pass.
Yeah, he knocked it out. I don't know if he knocked it out, but he got knocked out.
It got knocked out. It's like, yo, if you just do what you're supposed to do on that play, we did what we were supposed to do and got the outcome that we wanted. But you being undisciplined, not knowing where your help was, not using the correct leverage, and you had to hold. So he's talking about those things, right? Those moments, the big moments when you need a play, that's when we come up short. I'm sure that's what he's focusing on. We had plenty of opportunities to make winning plays, and we just would do something and not execute the defense. So, but I think if we go back and chart how many yards they've given up on second down, it probably would be striking.
Yeah.
It probably would. It probably would, because it is so easy to reckon. It's almost like playing the computer, the CPU in Madden. Like, okay, it's second down. They're going to be in cover 3. I'm just going to go ahead and throw the ball over the middle. And we've seen it for 2 consecutive weeks. 2 consecutive weeks. And for the first time, when you're so used to having elite preparation, game planning, and elite adjustments, and then you have to deal with predictability and a lack of fundamentals, which once again, I guess, was not true because you said that in your press conference when you met the media for the first time. I'm all about teaching fundamentals and we're going to make them better. And nothing's better fundamentally. There's nothing fundamentally better about these players or this defense right now.
The tackling got worse.
Yes.
From players that we watched be sure tacklers last season. I don't know what fundamentals you were working on. It wasn't tackling. It wasn't zone fundamentals. It wasn't coverage fundamentals. It wasn't pass rushing fundamentals. So whatever fundamentals you were working on must have been different. Yeah.
Brian, I mean, you've been interjecting, obviously, and we're talking defense.
I have a couple more thoughts on defense.
I'm sure you do.
Number one is on A&M's scored 4 touchdowns in the first half. 4 touchdowns. On drives of, let me give you the yardage here. They were on drives of, Vince, you have the drive chart, right? What were the 4 touchdown drives in the first half? You had a drive of 90 yards. You had a drive of 75 yards. You had a drive of 75 yards and a drive of 47 yards.
Yep.
In those 4 drives, Notre Dame forced A&M to get to third down twice.
Total in 4 drives.
Twice.
Yeah.
They converted a 3rd and 8, and their last touchdown was on a 3rd and goal.
There we go.
To Trev's point about how good they are on second down, you can't even get a team to get to 3rd down. Like what are we doing here? It just.
Well, look, the defense. We're talking about drives, so I just want to interject because in the second half, 2 punts and 2 field goals. Okay, first 4 drives of the second half. Okay. And then all of us are thinking, based on the way the game has gone, okay, they've got the ball with 2.5 minutes to go. Well, they're probably going to score a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And, they went 13 plays, 74 yards for a touchdown. 13 plays in 2 minutes and 28 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's embarrassing defense. Like, we may even be having a bit of a different conversation if we're just talking about 2 punts, 2 field goals, and then a turnover on downs. On that it'll be a similar conversation, but at least we're talking about a win. But when it mattered, this team allows, Texas A&M to go 74 yards on 13 plays to score a touchdown, which was the only outcome that they could have to win the game. The only one was to go the entire length of the field, score a touchdown, and kick the extra point. And that's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did with not a whole lot of, hey, guys, stop. Like, there not a whole lot of resistance from the Notre Dame defense. In fact, they got a lot of help from the Notre Dame defense on that drive. So very disappointing in the overall defensive. I don't even want to use the word effort, but yeah, the whole defense, just very disappointing.
Got some more numbers for you too.
Go ahead, Trev.
Notre Dame's defense has given up touchdown drives this year. All 3 of Miami's were 75 yards. They gave up touchdown drives tonight of 90, 75, 75, 47, and 74. So when teams do score, they drive essentially the entire football field to score on this defense. And it is at will. It's only one of those was that long 86-yard play that was to Mario Craver. All of them are like 11 play. Yeah.
And on the field goal drive that tied it at 34, they allowed a 3rd and 12 conversion on a run. Off tackle run.
So yeah,
they allowed a 3rd and 8 on the last drive of the game. They allowed a 3rd and 8 conversion. They allowed a 3rd and 16 conversion because of a penalty, and then they gave up a touchdown on 4th and goal from the 11. Like, this team has no ability to make stops when they need it.
Well,
that's the one thing about Al Golden's defense. Even when they weren't playing good, like the USC game last year, when the game was on the line, they made plays. Like they're getting torched by Ohio State, and then they go out and make some plays to get the team the ball back and let them get back in the game. Like, they didn't play well that game. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, Al Golden did a great job. We were frustrated with the job that Al Golden did in that game. But his players would go make plays when they needed him to make plays. You'd think a Christian struggling all game against USC and then making that big play at the end of the game, making the 4th and 2 stop early in the game. When they needed stops, they knew how to make stops. And this team has shown in 2 games now no ability to do that. None. And I'm curious to I'm going to go back and watch the press conference because I want to apply my, I say this sarcastically, professional body language reading skills on Marcus Freeman, but I do think I know him pretty well. I don't expect them to be like, oh, we're going to fire this guy or change this guy. I mean, you don't make those kind of decisions in a press conference right after the game.
No.
But I'm very curious to see his body language because some of his answers just reading the text aren't inspiring. But again, you need to see him say it. But at the end of the day, the reality is he's the head football coach and he's a defensive minded guy. He's got to fix this. He's got to figure out a way to fix this.
Agreed.
And it's preparation, it's play calling, it's execute, it's all of it. But these things don't happen in a vacuum. They don't happen on Saturday and like, I didn't see this coming. Like, yeah, you should have. You should have. And if you didn't prepare well. You're not doing a good job, even simple things. You're not doing a good job of getting your scout team in position to hurt you. You're not putting yourself in any bad situations during the week. The inability to play zone is, well, they're learning a new system and they're learning new coverages. Why? Like, tell me why you're doing that. Explain to me why you're doing that. Like, that's what I don't understand. I'd be willing to bet you if we go back and look and see what Marcel Reed's success was when they actually brought somebody, I'd bet you it's way worse than it was when they just sat back and let him sit in the pocket. I'll be willing to bet you a lot. I'm just like honestly,
I don't think Notre Dame did a very good job of getting home even when they brought extra guys.
But they influenced him enough where he would miss throws. That's what I'm talking about.
He had
It's like,
all freaking day to throw the football.
but when
man.
they brought multiple guys and they showed a little bit of pressure and a little bit of tight coverage, he didn't perform as well. That's what I'm talking about. They did a horrible job of getting to him. But when they brought guys up the middle, there was one particular play, I think it was Kingston Viliamasa, comes on a twist and he kind of gets up. He never really gets close to Marcel Reed, but you could see Marcel Reed's mind started speeding up as soon as he saw KVA coming up the middle, and he forced a bad throw. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what you see on film when you study this kid. Speed him up.
Well, and one of my bigger pet peeves, and I said this all week leading up to it, they used KVA as a spy most of the game. That's a waste.
You know my feeling on spying.
I said it the whole time. Oh, you got to spy Marcel Reed. You got to spy him. How'd that work out for you?
Yo, this ain't Lamar Jackson.
You're taking
he ain't Lamar Jackson.
You're taking a dynamic defensive player, because everybody in the chat is talking about how KVA needs to be in the Hall of Fame. So you're taking him out of the defense because he's just sitting there mirroring Marcel Reed and not being aggressive going after the quarterback because he's told not to.
But what happens when they
parallel him?
Right. And what happened in this game the few times they did turn him loose? He was impactful.
Exactly.
Plays in the backfield, speeding up the quarterback.
So you're
correct. It's a waste of
you're playing defense with 10. That's what you're doing. You're playing defense with 10. And I have a huge problem with that, especially when it's a kid with this much talent. Yeah. So that was a big mistake in my opinion.
You know what it is? And here's why I compare it to Brian Van Gorder, Sean, and you and I have had a lot of conversations about Brian Van Gorder over the years.
Mm-hmm.
My frustration with Brian Van Gorder was you only care about your scheme. You don't care about what's running the scheme. And that's how I feel about this. You have no desire to use Drake Bowen the way he thrives. You have no desire to use Kingston Viliamasa the way he plays well. You have no desire to use Jalen Sneed in a way that he can thrive. You're not using your talent. You are coming in saying, I'm Chris Ash. I've been a head coach. I got a natty ring. I've been in the NFL the last 3 years. Got fired from a job, and you were basically like an assistant scout last season. But, whatevs. You're in the NFL. And it's like, I'm the smartest guy in the room. We're going to do this. And I know we've got these talented corners coming back, and we've got a safety, and we've got this guy, and we've got that guy. We've got these really athletic, rangy linebackers. But let's ask them to read and react. Let's ask them to play zone. And look, I'm good with playing more zone, but you got to learn how to freaking teach it. And that's where I say the concern I have is that, Sean, when I talk about this is Brian Van Gorder bad, because I still remember the Michigan State game in 2016. It was 3rd and 9, and they brought a zone fire where they dropped Jerron Jones in the middle of the field, and they converted to 3rd and 9. And I said, listen, on paper, on a chalkboard, this looks great. We're going to do this. We're going to drop that guy. But you got a 6'5", 315-pound guy who ended up playing offensive tackle in the professional level, dropping into coverage on 3rd and 9. He dropped in that game Jay Hayes, 6'2.5", 295-pound Jay Hayes, trying to get under a curl route. This is, okay, I saw this play, and it worked really good when we had Khalil Mack or Von Miller, but we got Jay Hayes. But you know what? I still think it's going to work. Like, I'm going to coach my scheme, and that's what we're going to do, as opposed to, what do I have on talent-wise? What are the strengths of these football players? And how can I turn them loose? I always say it. Coach what you have, recruit what you want. He's coaching what he wants, not what he has. And it's a team that in the last 2 years has finished in the top 5 nationally in pass defense. I believe led the nation in pass efficiency defense each of the last 2 years. Led the nation in lowest completion percentage rate last year. Top 5 in fewest yards allowed per completion the last 2 years. And this is now who you are. And guys, it's not like they were making these great plays. Like Miami, you could be like, dude, that was a great play by C.J. Daniels, scoring that touchdown pass, blah, blah, blah. No, this is just, dude, you had guys running wide open all night. All night. And again, the 300-some yards, Sean, he missed 2 wide open guys down the field for long touchdowns on back-to-back drives in the third quarter. He could have literally had 500 yards passing tonight. If he threw out, if C.J. Carr was their quarterback tonight in the third quarter, he's got 2 touchdowns for about 160 yards.
And the crazy thing was, during the week, I'm like, this team talking about Texas A&M is really funny because defensively they're really good on third down, and offensively they're really poor on third down. I think they were like 91st in the nation on third down coming into the game. And tonight, they were 4 for 11. Like, get them to third down. But like you said, how many times did they actually get them to third down? And they were able to go on long drives without getting the third down, making chunk plays. And we said it all week. Screen game, quick passes, run after the catch. That's the strength of their offense and their passing game. You need to crowd these guys because they want to play in space. You need to crowd them. You need to get up in their face, redirect them, and force them to do things that they don't want to do.
And then when Leonard Moore gets hurt, Sean, he goes man coverage with a freshman cornerback, basically playing like his second and third snaps of his career. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I mean, Boubacar Traore was a dynamic pass rusher last year. We saw him in fall camp, twitchy, and then this is what we get tonight, guys. Boubacar had 1 tackle. Notre Dame had 2 tackles for loss for -2 yards.
Yep,
that's it.
And one of them was shared.
Yeah, well, and 1.5 of them were from defensive or from linebackers. Your defensive line had half a tackle for loss. Boubacar had 1 tackle tonight. Like it's I will say this, a positive. Donovan Heinisch held up at the point of attack really well tonight. Donovan he had a rough first game. Donovan played very well tonight. And I will say this, I think their D tackles on the whole, if you want to talk about, were very good against the run tonight. I will give them that. The one long run they had on that 3rd and 12, it was a terrible edge set from Bryce Young, and they just bounced it outside. Terrible gap integrity. I love Bryce. He's a talented player, but like that was just a bad player. Like overall, I thought the interior of the defensive line tonight played very well against the run. Didn't give you a ton against the pass. I thought they also played a role in him not getting out of the pocket a lot in that game. So you want to talk about positives, I will say that. I do think this team hit hard. There's a lot of big hits tonight from the Notre Dame defense. A lot of big hits. And I thought the defensive tackles bounced back pretty well from what was a rough start to the season in the first half against Miami. I thought they were pretty good tonight. I thought Donnie was really good tonight. They had a great pass rush on that touchdown. Got held. Or on the, I think it was it the play to play to Gray?
It was a touchdown.
It was a touchdown.
It was the last play of the game. Well, last play of that drive. Yeah, he got tackled from behind. I don't know how you don't call that, but it does. I mean,
pass rush. I mean, literally, the guy was like, "I'm going to tackle you because you."
He grabbed him around the legs. Like it was so obvious.
Somebody in the chat said he wasn't held.
Yes, he was.
No, he said
okay.
He was tackled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. Yeah. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was 100% tackled.
Donnie had a really nice bounce back game. So we gave him a hard time last week because we didn't think he played well. I think he played his butt off tonight.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add defensively at this point? Because we're going to have plenty of time to talk about it this week, obviously.
Marcus Freeman is going to have to make some major changes this week. And major changes isn't just, hey, we're going to relieve play calling duties from Chris Ash. I'm not even saying he should do that. That's a decision he has to make. I'm talking about everything in regard to how this team prepares. like the preparation, the game planning, the scouting. They did not scout A&M at all. Trevor, Sean, I know you guys broke this team down on Lucky Lefty, and Trev, I certainly did. I think we nailed who A&M is and what they're going to do. A lot of crossers, mesh, overs, a lot of stuff like that. And no plan for it whatsoever. No plan for it. I just was Al Golden brought an NFL scheme, but he adapted it to college players. Like, and the frustration we had with Al Golden in year one, if Notre Dame was doing that defense right now, even the one they're 2-0. He gave up 21 points to Ohio State in the opener and 19 points to Marshall in week 2. He didn't give up over 24 points in the game until the 10th game of his first season there, and that was inheriting a roster that doesn't have nearly the talent that this one does. They had Clarence Lewis starting at cornerback that season to start the season against Ohio State, and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka and Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's embarrassing. Yeah.
Let's turn the table to the other side of the football, guys, and let's talk a little bit about this offense and what they were able to put together. Again, like I did with the defense, I'll start off with some numbers here for the offense. They had 429 total yards, 293 through the air, 136 on the ground. Let's see here. They had 23 first downs, 7 of 15 on third down, 2 of 4 on fourth down. CJ Carr, 293 yards, obviously 2 of 32, 63%, 1 touchdown, 1 bad interception, obviously. And then Jeremiah Love almost got to 100, had 23 carries, 94 yards, and Price had 12 carries for 68.
He did have 147 yards of offense in the game.
That is true because he had 4 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. So Jeremiah Love, for all the people that wanted to get him more involved in the offense, this is how you do it, and that's what happens when you do it. And so Jeremiah Love, obviously a big key to the offense. And then, of course, Malachi Fields had a bit of a Notre Dame coming out party, 5 catches, 77 yards. And then, of course, we cannot forget about Trev's man, his main guy, Eli Raridan, 4 catches, 85 yards. He's on pace to do some things as the tight end. So some good things, obviously, offensively. Some mistakes, no doubt about it, but they put up 40 points at the end of the day. So, Brian, they didn't put up 40 points. Yeah. 40 points were put up by Notre Dame.
Right.
There was the punt return. But, Brian, your thoughts on the offense?
I want to give Trev a chance to dive in this. I'll give my thoughts at the end. I want to let Trev dive in this, but I did want to start off with this, Vince. The reality is you could say, well, there are more mistakes. You shouldn't have to be perfect in order to win a football game at home. And that's the reality of it. You scored 33 offensive points. You scored a special teams touchdown. You had 429 yards of offense. You averaged 6 yards of play. Your defense, for all of its issues, your offense, for whatever issues we are going to discuss, scored a touchdown with just over 2 minutes left to give you a 40-34 lead.
Correct.
I don't know what else you want to ask the offense. Were they perfect? No. Did they make mistakes? Yes. I mean, that's going to happen. But if that's not a good enough performance to win it at home, you've got really big teams. You've got really big problems as a football team. And we'll be critical. There's some things I didn't like. I hated the 4th down calls. Totally fine with Marcus Freeman going for it there. That's who he is.
100%.
It's like, but you've done this whole direct snap thing 4 times already. They know what's coming. And I know it worked later in the game, but like, hand the freaking ball, snap the ball to CJ Carr, allow him to give some sort of throw the ball or keep it threat. I didn't love that, but like at the end of the day, are there things that I'd be critical of if I was evaluating Marcus or Mike Denbrock or, Joe Rudolph or whatever? But at the end of the day, you scored 33 points and 429 yards. You should have won that football game.
Correct.
This isn't on the offense.
Agreed.
Yeah, the offense got to do this better. They got to do that better. I get all that.
They weren't perfect.
But they shouldn't have to be because nobody is. I mean, you're playing a top 20 team at home. You scored 33 points on offense, 7 points on special teams. That should have been good enough to win a freaking football game. Like, so Trev, I'll let you dive into a little bit more specific players or whatever, but I think we need to say that. You know, we need to be able to say that the offense scored 17 points in the first half, 16 points in the second half. Offense put you in position to win the game. They scored again late in the game to give you a lead. Last time it was to tie it, and you couldn't hold it. So, Trev, I'll let you dive into this, but I just felt that needed to be said because, you know, there's things they're going to have to clean up this week, and we'll dive into that. But this is a performance that you should have won a big football game with.
Yeah, I mean, you go 5 of 5 in the red zone, and you should expect when you put up over 400 total yards of offense. You rattled off 3 straight scoring drives after punting on your first drive of the game. You know, I think for the offense, it just comes down to being more of an efficient offense and taking advantage of the opportunities. You know, Notre Dame blocks the punt. You know, they score a touchdown. And you have the opportunity to take a big lead against Texas A&M, and then unfortunately the offense isn't able to capitalize, and they punt. Lets Texas A&M hang around. They drive down the field, and 7-7. Then Notre Dame responds with, like I said, 3 straight scoring drives. But it just comes down to efficiency. When I look at this team, you average 3.5 yards a carry. This is back-to-back games where the offensive line averages under 4 yards a carry, and that just can't be this. That's just it can't happen. Not at a team like this. And yes, I understand on paper, you look at Jeremiah Love's numbers, he had 94 rushing yards. And he did it on 23 attempts. And you have to find a way to be more efficient. You know, Sean said it earlier. They were keying in on what they were trying to do with Jeremiah Love. And when did he start to become effective? When was he the most efficient tonight? When you ran in between the tackles. Worked for Jadarian Price. You run him in between the tackles and then give your explosive running backs the opportunity to bounce it. I am happy that, and I'm saying this kind of sarcastically, but I am legitimately happy to see this. They would go bunch in short, down and distance, or down in the red zone, and they did have Ty Washington in as a blocking tight end, and they didn't put Will Pauling there to try to block Cassius Howell like they did against Miami. So that personnel change was promising. I know this kind of goes without saying, and I'm sure we're all going to touch on it, but, I mean, CJ Carr is special, man. You know, I'm frustrated by this game. I am. And this is just another game. This is back-to-back games that Notre Dame should not have lost. But CJ Carr is a special talent. There were throws that he made tonight that was, I mean, he's fitting it into cover 2 holes where the linebacker sinks, and he's fitting it in between 3 guys. I mean, that play where he hit Eli Raridan late over the middle, that was his 4th read. I mean, a redshirt freshman. He's in for a spectacular season, truthfully. And I just hope that the adjustment gets made on the other side of the ball, that doesn't go to waste this year. But we're talking about the offense. I thought pass protection tonight was better, and we talked about it throughout the week. I think some of that was by default. I mean, I will give credit where it is due. They did play better than what they did against Miami. Now, the bar was set extremely low, but it was good. It's not like, against Miami, they gave up, 19 pressures, and against Texas A&M, they only gave up X amount. They did play better across the board. CJ had time to throw. I mean, look, at the end of the day, your quarterback doesn't pass for 293 yards, 20 of 32, and a touchdown if, your line isn't giving you no time. So that was promising. And then again, Malachi Fields continues to be what we thought he was. I mean, some of the slants, they should have been caught, especially with how good of a contested catch receiver he is, but I'm not going to let that take away from his 5-catch, 77-yard performance.
I think it was the second one. That was also pretty good defense by Will Lee.
Oh, yeah. Both.
I think it was the second one. I mean, that's good cover.
First one, It got literally knocked out of it. I mean, that was that
was the one. Was that the end zone? Was that the one in the end zone, right?
One was
that was sometimes defense makes a good play.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
the second one I thought he should have caught, but
I think because he let it get into his chest, and when you got a guy on, you got to extend to the football. Exactly.
Yep.
The one in the end zone was good defense.
Agreed. I thought that in some scenarios, when you look at this offense big picture, I thought there were too many overcorrections. There wasn't enough emphasis on getting the ball to Jeremiah Love. I didn't think that was going to translate to let's direct snap it to him 7 times this game. But, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. I think that he got a little bit too much backlash for the RPO screens. I thought in tonight's game it could have worked. Corners bailed quite a bit tonight.
Yeah.
And if there was ever a game to just keep kicking it out to Faison until they crept up, it was a dry football tonight, guys. And CJ was not shy about airing it out downfield, especially to zero. And if there was a night when these corners kept bailing because they didn't want to get beat over top, if there was a time to RPO pull it and kick it out to Faison or Greathouse but you have to find different ways to get more of your playmakers involved. It comes down still, and I'm not going to be as harsh as I was on them last week, but the offensive line still has to do better executing run blocking for these explosive running backs. It can't take Jeremiah Love 23 carries to get to 94 yards. Just can't. He's too explosive of a running back for that. So those are honestly my thoughts on offense before I dive into film.
Trev, I think one of the issues I have with the run game is whatever they've done with their footwork adjustments, he gets downhill way too fast.
Yeah.
Way too fast.
Yeah.
The timing for what Jeremiah does in the run game is just not there. And if you watch, Jadarian's a lot more patient, because I think Jadarian's just kind of been like, F it, I'm going to do what I know I'm supposed to. I'm going to do it. But that's why you're seeing Jadarian see some more of those creases where all of Jeremiah's runs tonight were just, he ran hard. Like that touchdown run. Oh my, that's just the I'm getting in the end zone and you're not stopping me from getting in. So, that's really what that was. It was blocked relatively well. But even on that play, he just ran through a guy. He's got to bounce that and cut that out. You know what I mean? Like that's got to get figured out. He's getting downhill way too fast. And I don't mean he's too fast. I mean, it's like with anything. Once you get downhill, you got to go downhill fast. What I mean is his footwork is getting him downhill too fast. There's not time to read it. He's got to make his reads are having to happen way too quick. And when that's happening, you're just not going to see those bounces. So they're going to have to fix that. And that we didn't see Jeremiah do this at all. He was so incredibly patient last year. And they're going to have to figure that out. Yeah. So that's one thing that's affecting the run game. But then the second half, I thought that A&M, Trev, made some adjustments, and I don't feel like Notre Dame really had anything to counter it with it. Like they had their run game, and then when A&M made adjustments, it didn't look like they had anything to do. They just like, well, this is what we do. And that's a little bit concerning for me.
I will jump on the CJ Carr bandwagon here a little bit just so I can put some positive things out of my mouth tonight. But this is the first time in my adult life where I sit back and I am very confident when Notre Dame has the football because CJ Carr is the quarterback. He is poised. Is he gonna? Did he make some mistakes? Sure, but he is poised. Like nothing gets to this kid. He is in control of the offense. He can make every throw on the field. I'm just confident every time he has the ball, and it is a situation of, okay, give the kid more than 13 seconds and maybe a couple more timeouts, and he drives down the field and puts him in field goal range. Like
that throw to Eli Raridan was ridiculous.
Yeah.
On that drive.
And
there's three guys, two to one side, one to the other, and he just read and just threw it right in that window.
He's looking guys off. He's going through his progressions. He's not worried. Like there's a few times I'm like, get rid of it. But he's just like so poised in the pocket, even when it's collapsing around him. Notre Dame has a quarterback. They have a quarterback, and they clearly are operating, in my opinion, in a manner offensively where they know they have a quarterback, which I'm happy about. So that's a good thing. They didn't put the handcuffs on him as much as they did back against Miami. So that's good. He just now needs a defense to complement him putting up some points. So now the offense was not perfect. You guys outlined some great points offensively. I don't disagree with any of them. I just wanted to be positive about what I saw from the quarterback position and how I feel every time he has the ball in his hands.
No, it's you feel like, just some of the, he had a couple balls he let get outside. He's got to give Malachi a shot on a couple of those. It's going to happen. But like the the first back shoulder throw the first go throw he threw to Malachi was a freaking dime. You know, the one throw he kind of missed. I think he put a little bit too much juice on the throw to Jeremiah Love, and it got out there a little too quick. And Jeremiah made a phenomenal
Just
catch.
a great catch.
Yeah. Great
catch.
Great
you
catch.
Put your best players in a position to be successful, and that's obviously what they did on that.
I thought game plan wise, I thought the Wildcat thing was something I would have been okay a couple times. I didn't love it.
It got too predictable.
Yeah,
like that's the problem.
They didn't have answers for edge pressure early in the game.
Yeah.
You know, they'd line up in certain looks, and I think it was the first drive of the game. There was the 4th and 1, no, second drive or 3rd and 1. And I'm looking at the play right now, and you just let a guy come right off the edge. Anthony Knapp's he's got to block out. I mean, it's like that's the kind of stuff we keep seeing. We talked about it last week. It's like they're one guy making a mistake away from being good. And the guy over Knapp slants inside, and Knapp goes down with him. There's nobody to block the edge. You just can't keep making those mistakes. You can't keep making those mistakes. It's just you're 2 games in with a bunch of guys that have started a lot of football games, and you're still making those mistakes. You're allowing run-throughs for middle linebackers, and just the offensive line played better than last week, but they still played subpar for what this line is supposed to do.
Things were overshadowed by some great plays by the running backs with some great vision, and CJ Carr getting the ball out of his hands very quickly.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to know what a quick release looks like, go back and watch this game, because there were times where he was down to his 3rd or 4th option and just got rid of the ball immediately right before he was about to take a hit. That's what you want from your quarterback.
I thought Jadarian Price has been an absolute dude so far this season, by the way. He's been outstanding. He had 6 for 45 in the opener. What was he at tonight, fellas? He was at 12 for 68.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been outstanding. He's more patient as a runner.
Teams still think that they can cut him off at the corner, which I think is funny. They cannot.
The 2 running backs combined for 162 yards, or rushing on, but it was on 35 carries.
Right. There's a lot of 2-yard carries.
You had a -11 team run. You had a -15. So like the rushing performance was a little bit better than the numbers showed, because you had 162 yards on 35 carries. That's 4.6 yards per carry. So like Trev said, 3.5. That was the -11, Carr sacks. But at the same time, against this defense, Trev, 4 and 6 isn't good enough. I mean, I watched UTSA run over this team.
Right.
And you're supposed to be better than UTSA. But, I thought the receivers made some good plays tonight, did a good job getting open, had some plays they got to make as well. There's a couple of those. The first drive of the game, Jordan Faison just flat out drops the ball that hits him right in the hands. I mean, you got to make that catch.
Right. That's a heck of a throw.
You
got to catch that.
Yeah. I thought Will Pauling had a great effort after the catch to convert a first down.
Yes, he did.
Jaden Greathouse had a big play in the game. I'm blown away by the fact that they have not even remotely tried to get the ball to Jaden Greathouse. And
makes no sense.
It just blows my mind.
Makes no sense.
Blows my mind. And they keep kind of pushing this. Like Faison, almost never comes off the field. And the couple times they did, it's like they put KK Smith out there. And KK had a nice catch tonight, by the way. This isn't a criticism of KK, but Jordan Faison's your clear number 2 receiver, and behind Malachi, and Jaden Greathouse is just kind of in a rotation with Will Pauling, who's got in 2 games has 2 catches for 13 yards.
Yeah.
Seriously?
To your point, Brian,
have combined for 3 catches so far this year.
To your point, Brian, Jordan Faison played 66 snaps tonight. Jaden Greathouse played 31.
That's I'm sorry, that's ridiculous.
That's criminal. That's criminal. That needs to be reversed.
Yeah.
That 100%. Needs to be reversed. And Faison didn't.
Now I'll say this about Faison. Faison had 2 really good blocks tonight on big runs. He had a really good block on Jadarian Price's long run, and he had a very good block on the touchdown run by Jeremiah Love late in the game. I thought his overall effort from what I saw, I'll go back and watch the film, but I thought his effort as a route runner was better. I criticized him for that in the opener. Tonight, it's not about Jordan Faison hurt you, drop the ball, Malachi dropped the ball. It's more so that balance there needs to be more balance there between those three.
I don't like the rotation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that Jordan Faison should be. Let me pull up the snaps here real quick, fellas. Through the first two games, just go offense here real quick. You're looking at Jordan Faison's got 52 more snaps right now than Jaden Greathouse. He's got 7 more than Malachi Fields. No, that's and he's a good football player. Jordan Faison can help you win football games. This is not a Jordan Faison sucks. No, he's a good football player. He showed that tonight. Blocking was outstanding. He gave better effort than he did in the opener. It's just more about Jaden Greathouse has proven he's a big-time player also, and he also needs to be more of a focal point in the game. I think Eli Raridan has been everything that we've thought he could be. He was a little up and down in the opener, but still performed. Tonight, I thought he was really good. Run game-wise, for the most part, he was really good. And then also, obviously, as a pass catcher, he's a weapon. He's a big-time weapon. Malachi, Trev, I still don't know FanDuel. I don't know what, FanDuel's going to give him some love, I think, against Purdue, man. You know what I mean? Like, if y'all would have listened to Trevor this week and put some money on the what was the over, how do you say it? It's the over-under? What do you call it, Trev?
Yeah, the line for his receiving yards. I won $100 on. Yes. I won $100 tonight.
If you'd have put it on him, Greathouse, and because Greathouse only had one catch, but it went for more than his 20-something yards that he was projected by FanDuel, and then CJ went over as well. So if you would have taken that, actually, if you'd have looked at all those prop bets or whatever, those lines, I mean, Greathouse went over his number. I think Faison went over his.
Faison did not go over his number.
Not Faison.
He missed it by 7 yards. So
Price.
I didn't get mine because he missed it by 7 freaking yards.
No, yeah, I did.
Price is what I'm trying to say. Rushing. Love went over.
Yep. Love.
Price went over.
Fields,
CJ went over. Fields, Greathouse, and Raridan all went over.
Check. Faison, no check.
Is that the only one you did something on, Vince?
Well, and I had Notre Dame covering 6.5, so obviously I didn't have.
There goes that.
But I missed on two legs of a 8-legger.
Okay,
and those are the 2. 7 yards, 1 catch.
Yeah,
if he catches that one at the beginning of the game, it hits. But whatever.
Yeah, I was a little puzzled by what I saw tonight.
No doubt.
With some of the receiver rotation stuff, but I think overall the receivers played a lot better than they did in the opener. And that was a positive.
Agreed.
Eli, like I said, Eli's a dude. Jadarian's a dude. The offensive line is still, to me, it's disappointing. They did better in pass pro tonight, but the run blocking is frustrating.
I want to say this about the wide receivers. I think, now, granted, this goes without saying that you want your wide receivers to give 100% effort all the time, right? Goes without saying. That should be the expectation. That should be the bar. I feel like taking the handcuffs off of CJ Carr a little bit, they knew that ball could come to me now downfield. The ball could always come to me at some point. So that gave them a little extra step, a little extra, you know what I mean? Like, and that's just natural for a wide receiver, right? I mean, you've coached wide receivers. I've coached wide receivers. It's like, if they know they're not getting the ball, it's hard to keep them motivated.
I mean, they're going to watch film tonight and see CJ multiple times going to a second, third, fourth tonight. Multiple times.
Yep.
And
that'll make the whole room better, because they're gonna bust their butts trying to get football.
But my point is I don't want to see Jordan Faison playing 66 snaps. I want Jordan Faison in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Fresher.
Yes.
Than that. And I want to see Jaden Greathouse playing more snaps. That is a bit of a head scratcher, to be honest with you. I don't quite understand that. Malachi targeted 10 times tonight. Jeremiah Love targeted 6 times tonight. Eli 4 times tonight. Faison 6 times. And then Greathouse was targeted just twice.
Yeah.
And the second one was the hook and ladder thing on the last play of the game. So
Jordan Faison played more run blocking snaps tonight than Jaden Greathouse played snaps.
Yeah.
According to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, I really don't get that. I really don't get that. But I mean, there's a lot of good to take away from this game. You didn't lose this game because your offense.
Nope.
Last time your offense had the ball, they went down the field and scored a touchdown. Your offense did what they needed to do to try to help you win this football game. And if perfection is needed, like we keep doing the caveat, well, they weren't perfect and they got areas to improve, but duh. Who doesn't when they play a good team? Like Notre Dame scored more points against Texas A&M than Alabama scored against Wisconsin today. And they lost. Like, yeah, your offense went 75 yards on 12 plays and scored a touchdown. You're off at the end their last drive of the game to give you a lead. This game wasn't about the offense. We can nitpick this call, that call. I didn't love the fourth down call. I didn't. I don't think Jeremiah Love read it very well either. Again, he's getting downhill too quickly. I still don't love the call. But
at the end of the day, the offense puts you up 6 with 2.5 minutes to go. That to me, and I know it's a bigger picture than that, but at the end of the day, you gave the ball to the defense with 2.5 minutes to go. All you got to do is stop them, and you gave them 74 yards to go. They had to go 74 yards in 2.5 minutes. That's it. And even with the botched extra point, and I know a lot of people want to blame Buckner and they say he shouldn't be on the team, which is nonsense.
Don't even acknowledge that mess. He's got to make that play.
100%. Yeah, but you were up 6 points. They had to get a touchdown. That's all you had to do. That's it. And they couldn't do it. So a lot of points in this game where jobs had to be done and they weren't done. Okay.
Yep.
Similar situation to Miami 2 weeks ago. As bad as they played, they were in that game at the end. It needed a stop. Couldn't get it. They needed a stop at the end of this game. Couldn't get it.
By the way, I did love that. Somebody in the chat said they didn't like the flea flicker call. I loved that call. I think stuff like that is good. I think it makes teams realize, like, hey, you better be prepared because we're going to bring some of this stuff. Sean, what were your thoughts on the performance of the offense? We've been kind of talking a bunch. What were your thoughts on the offense?
I mean, CJ Carr, once again, just continues to progress. It's interesting because on the RTCF show, we gave our guys on offense that needed to step up, and those guys stepped up. Like, for the most part, we asked the tackles to be better. They were better. We asked Jeremiah Love and Jadarian to be dudes. They were dudes. We wanted a game from Malachi Fields. We got a game from Malachi Fields. It's just everything that you wanted to get offensively from this team, you got it, and they still lost. And that's just absolutely disappointing. But that makes you feel really good about the offense moving forward. It makes you feel good about the offense moving forward. But like Trev and you have pointed out, the efficiency of the run game. Where is it going to be? You have to get better than 3 point, whatever it was tonight, yards per carry. I think formationally, man, this is just, and I don't know if it's because of having a redshirt freshman and feeling like you have to babysit them. I think at this point, you can let the leash go a little bit, right? Especially if it's hurting the offense formationally, right? The fourth down call, Gerby Lambert was coming around. If Jeremiah just gets on his butt, more than likely he gets that first down.
He got downhill too quickly, Sean.
That's all on Jeremiah Love. But you feel good about those guys stepping up and having a game. And like you said, just like last year in fourth quarter, with about 6 minutes left, Notre Dame gets the ball. They go right down the field. Last year, they do the same thing this year and go up 6. And they just couldn't close it out, But offensively, I feel good. The disappointment, I understand tonight, but I'm like, dude, they're going to score against Purdue next week. They're going to score against Purdue. And if they get better, they're probably going to put up 40 points or more against Purdue. I think the true test is going to be on the road against Arkansas. That's going to be the true test to see whether or not this team has really improved. Because I don't think they're going to get much resistance, at least on the offensive side. Like Trev said, Nitro Tuggle still might have a game next week. So I don't know what this defense is going to do, but offensively, they're going to go out there and put up points on Purdue. So
it's helpful to have Purdue. That's,
Yeah.
But again, nothing's guaranteed. So, nothing's guaranteed. But the overreact, there are a lot of overreactions out there, obviously, and people are emotional about how this game went. And I get it. I get it, right? There's still a ton of talent on this team. There's still things that can be done to make this team win games, right? But it has to be done. All those things have to happen, and to steal a page from Brian Kelly's playbook, players do have to play better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And coaches have to coach better. Yes. All of those things. But those things need to actually occur. It just, that just needs to happen. So
hopefully the offense can continue to improve. The offensive line is it was better. It's still disappointing. Can I give you guys a statistic real quick that you're going to love?
Bring it.
In 2 games so far, CJ Carr has gone 13 of 21 on throws past 10 yards, the past line scrimmage. He's 7 of 12 on throws beyond 20 yards. Just pretty good.
You're just reinforcing what I said.
Yeah.
Earlier.
So in 2 games, he's averaged 6.5 completions beyond 10 yards. That's on pace for 104 completions beyond 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. Last year, Riley Leonard in 16 games had 59 in 16 games. CJ's on pace for 104. So like the pass game has been more aggressive, even with, Sean, I agree that the training wheels are they're clearly there to a degree, but even there, it's still like this guy is on pace to basically almost double what they did last year throwing the ball. CJ's had 7 completions. He's over a third of the way to Riley's season-long completions past 20 yards already in 2 games. Riley had 20. He went 20 of 43 last year. CJ's already 7 of 12 in 2 games. And against 2 games against 2 good football teams. So, yeah. And he's going to continue to have rookie mistakes. You live with that because you see what he does. I mean, like I said, the throw he made to Eli Raridan on late in the first half was a special throw. The coming back over the middle when he's like his 4th read and just drilling the ball to him. And then Eli did a great job hanging on to that because he got hit pretty hard on that play. But the play that kind of showed me a little something was, I think it was on the final touchdown drive. But he doesn't go to Malachi right away. He goes back and sees Malachi and Malachi did a great job of continuing to work open, and he settles into that zone. But for CJ to see that and then hit that throw was impressive. And then he also had a comeback route to Malachi where he threw the ball over a defender and dropped it down to Malachi. Like, he does some special things with the football as a thrower. He really does. Now, obviously, there's the caveat of he's got to make this mistake better. He's got to handle this situation better. He's, that's all part of the growing pains. But you're not 0-2 because you're redshirt freshman quarterback. You're not. And that's a great sign. So hopefully they'll be able to continue this and build around us, build around it. So, yeah.
Any other final thoughts on the offense, guys, before we move into we got a bunch of super chats to get to here as well.
Yeah, and then Sean has to go. Sean's got to preach tomorrow, so
yep,
rolling. But
I just sent him a text. Please pray for all of us tomorrow because I feel like I need it.
I saw that. Yeah, like I said, guys, your offense has got to keep building, keep getting better.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's always going to be calls you don't like and things you don't like, but at the end of the day, you scored 33 points. You had over 420 yards of offense. You should have won this football game.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, should have won this football game.
All right, that's going to do it for the offensive side of the football for today. Make sure you guys hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight in the wee hours of the night and discussing what we all had to witness together. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Jump on the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. We're going to have all kinds of breakdowns of this game. In our Pawn Further review, we're going to get some film going, and we're going to discuss the players of the game and, the keys to victory, all of those things. That's all coming over the next couple of days, so you're definitely going to want to check that out as well. But you have to be a premium message board subscriber. So you're going to want to jump on the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. All right, gentlemen, for the final part of tonight's show, the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by FanDuel, we're gonna jump into the super chats. And the way the post game show works, guys, is we generally don't bring up a bunch of stuff from the chat. You guys are in there, you guys are doing your thing, and we appreciate it. And everybody's fired up for good reason. But if you want to get your comment or your question, into the post game show, it has to be done via the super chat. Otherwise, we would literally be here for 7-8 hours. So not that we don't love all of you, but the battery only is charged for so long. So we're going to hit the super chats, and we're going to kind of hit these rapid fire style. But if you've got a good question in there, of course we're going to answer it. But I have noticed as they've been coming through, there are a lot of comments as well, which is
fine. Totally fine.
Understandable. Yep. Totally awesome. And we will read them. If we will, sans profanity and things of that nature.
There'll be a couple we won't bring up.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, good deal. So, Brian, why don't you fire those up for us, and we'll start getting through them. So, Nova 2015, thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciate it. 40 points should have been more than enough to win the game. This is a debacle. Al Golden built a championship caliber defense, and Chris Ash has destroyed it in 2 games. Shame on Freeman for this hire. Coach D was right.
I wish I was right about some other things and not this one. I wish I was right about the offensive line. I wish I was right on other things. I'm not happy that I'm not right on this one.
Fair.
I'm not happy that I'm so far right on this one. And could it get better? Of course. Could Chris Ash figure it out and become a great coach? Yeah, sure. I guess anything is possible. But guys, this just, he looked lost tonight, and he didn't have know what to do. And then the things that they were doing to kind of give them some early second half success, they just went away from when the game was on the line. This is inexcusable in my opinion.
Tyler Reese, thanks for the super chat. We have clearly underestimated the lack of leadership and depth on both the O-line and the D-line this year, coupled with the absolutely ridiculous hire of nobody and Chris Ash as the DC. It's hard to argue with all of that.
Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't say leadership. Go ahead, Trev.
I also wouldn't even say depth. They have the depth there. They just don't use it. The way that I mean, Elijah Hughes played 6 snaps tonight. Logan Thomas played 0 snaps on defense.
How many did Armo Mukum play? I don't remember seeing him.
I don't think any. I mean, it gets to the point where it's like, I understand where this super chat is coming from, man. I don't want to think that I'm dismissing you, but that's what's frustrating is the depth is there. It's just not being utilized. So not only are the players on defense being put in bad spots, you're not even using your entire arsenal of players, which I guess then you would use your arsenal of players to put them in bad spots in this 2-game sample size that we've seen. So the depth is there. Leadership, I mean, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I understand that, Donovan Heinisch was kind of that, I guess you could call it dark horse to be the captain on the defensive line. But I do think they have leaders. I mean, Dawson is a 5th-year senior. Jason Onye is a 5th-year senior. Gabe Rubio is a 5th-year senior. And Josh Burnham's a redshirt junior. Junior Tuialamaka is a senior. So I think the leadership is there, but
And I also think, Trevor, the leadership on the D line, for example, I thought bounced back and played pretty well. Donovan Heinisch.
Agreed.
There's bigger issues. Yeah, there's some issues there, but I thought your captain came out and played pretty well. I thought Drake Bowen played a lot better in this game than he did in the first game. I thought Don Schuler played a lot better in this game than he did the first game. So your leadership stepped up, played better. I mean, Emil Wagner wasn't very good tonight, but he was way better than he was in the opener. Especially in pass pro. So I don't know how much of this I'd put on leadership, but yeah, I think there's a lack of leadership at Notre Dame right now, but I don't think it's on the player level. I don't. I think you could say, Trev, Okay, lack of leadership, and when the game's on the line, none of those captains or nobody stepped up, made plays. Fair. But again, I believe a lot of that is, are you being put in position to be successful?
Agreed,
And
100%.
that's what I don't see as much.
Sam W77, thanks for the super chat. 2016 vibes. Guess this is what is going with a gut feeling gets you. Not all on CJ, but point stands.
I'm sorry. It's not even remotely on CJ. Something about the gut feeling to start CJ Carr. We watched a different football game tonight, I think, Sam. The one thing he did right was the gut feeling. If anything, I'd say the gut feeling should have happened sooner. You know, and the whole, my frustration with the decision at quarterback is more about, like, we reported at Irish Breakdown that we were being told that he wanted to start Kenny before the jersey scrimmage. He wanted to start Kenny. Why? Because CJ made a ton of plays. That's what I told. He makes a ton of plays down the field. He makes some really wild throws, but he turns the ball over too much. Like, with what we've seen from this kid in the last two blue gold games, the last two jersey scrimmages, and the 2 games he started, love Kenny Minchie, but like, it should have been a conversation. This should have been your guy, like, by the end of the second week of camp at the latest. So your gut was a little slow in reacting. Your gut on who you hired as your defensive coordinator was not a good one. So, you know, Coach Freeman's done a lot of great things at Notre Dame, and I'm not going to sit here and, like, all of a sudden just like, oh, screw that guy. But the fact is, he's made some mistakes, like all coaches do. The question that's going to be here for Marcus Freeman now is, do you learn as quickly from them as the great ones did, or do you need forever to figure it out like Brian Kelly did with Brian Van Gorder? That's what we're going to have to learn about Marcus Freeman. And it's not just Chris Ash. There's another position coach that I think you've probably seen. For me, I've seen enough of, and I'm ready to say, okay, like, there's got to be a change.
Gabe A, thanks for the super chat. Fire Chris Ash. I've seen enough, and lots of blame on Freeman for hiring the guy.
I don't advocate for firing people. That's not really what we do, but major change has got to happen. Major change.
Josh Phillips, for Vince, I was wrong about USF on points allowed. You know,
was this one of the debates? Were you guys having a debate or something during one of the?
It was on our spread option show.
Okay.
Yeah. We
What
talk a
did he
lot
say?
about points.
I was also wrong about my lock of the week because Stanford beat Boston College.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
They were up like
22.
17-6.
Yeah.
Are you 30-10? How? My gosh, how bad is that? Dylan Lonergan went 30 of 44 for 333 yards, and they lost. Oh, they got ran on. Okay, I see it. They got ran all over by Stanford.
Yeah, they heard me talking that mess all this past week, and then just to make it even better, Notre Dame lost tonight. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Dude, they were up 17-6 at the last time I saw a score. And apparently it was downhill for them. They had a 69-yard pass touchdown. Ben Gold-Branson had a 69-yard touchdown pass. He finished the night with 186 yards passing. Good for Stanford, though. They're not going to go 0-16. They're not going to go 0-16. That's good. Got a better record than Notre Dame does right now. Oh, facts. Lord have mercy.
Yep, there you go, Trev. On that note, Brandon Plensner, thanks for the super chat. Hopefully Freeman realizes he made some bad hires and fixes it. Flat out embarrassing. This ends now. This is once again on Freeman and the coaching staff.
Marcus Freeman, again, has done a lot of great things at Notre Dame, but in his 4 years, twice he has started 0-2. Not acceptable. You got to figure out, and if we're really being honest, they haven't been a great September team. Even last year when they went 4-0, 5-0 in September, they didn't play very well in September. Like, the only year you could argue they played well in September was early in 2023, but I would argue they didn't play anybody any good either. They have not played well in September. He's got to figure out why that is and figure it and fix it. You can't do anything about it now, but like that's going to be one of the biggest things he's going to have to address this offseason. Why are we a slow starting football team?
Marcus Briggs, thanks for the super chat. This game is a clear example of how important coaching is. If we had Golden, this game is not close, in my opinion.
Don't disagree. I think there's a lot of coordinators you could say could be on this team who this game would have been close. I don't think Mike Mickens would have said, "Hey, let's completely switch the defense that's worked for us for 3 years."
Maltavius, thanks for the super chat. Heartbroken for Tyler Buckner. It was hard watching them just keep showing him on the sideline like that. That was tough, man. Because that's just tough. I'll just say that.
Again, you got to make that play. That's your job.
100%.
You're on the field. You're the holder. But I do, because there's just people just looking for a reason
to trash him,
smash that kid. But
right,
got to do your job.
Absolutely, no doubt.
But again, shouldn't have mattered. It shouldn't have come to that. You scored 40 points.
And they were doing the same thing to the Swedish tight end for A&M. They kept showing him on the sideline too because of the hold, on the kickoff return. So it's not like they were equal opportunity.
No, I'm not talking about.
No, I know you
was looking for a reason to.
Yeah, no, I know. No, our fans are. Notre Dame fans are. 100%.
I get that.
Yeah,
they're frustrated. I get it.
Scott Mersinger, thanks for the super chat. You were right about the Ash hire thus far into his regime. The defense gave this game away in the first half. Offensive line came out and played well. We got gashed through the air. Wow. That's true.
They played hard.
Yeah.
I will say this. The offensive line, Trev, I don't know if you agree with this. I thought the offensive line played hard. I don't know that I'd say they played well. They were better in pass pro. I also don't think this is Trevor and I, you talked about this. This isn't a great Texas A&M defensive line either. This isn't last year's defensive line.
No, I said it during, the week of shows. They're just going to look better this week by default. Now, I do agree that they played harder. I didn't see any one of the tackles trying to box out an edge defender like a basketball player going up for a rebound this week. So that is a step in the right direction. But I mean, like I said, by default, I think it's going to look better because this defensive line, like we saw tonight, didn't have a Reuben Bain on it. I mean, they have good players, but Miami's defensive line was better.
Christopher Dowling, thanks for the super chat. Going to start a GoFundMe for Al Golden to come back. Defense doesn't have a clue. You score 40 points, you should win, period.
Last season at this time, we were talking about if Notre Dame scores like 17 points on offense, they win.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's what's frustrating. It's like they can't ever put it all together.
I know.
It's just.
But you put this offense with last year's defense.
In September,
championship last year.
Right. No, I'm talking about like in September, just because the offense finally got rolling as the season wore on, and injuries forced Rudolph to play who he's supposed to play.
It just looks different.
That kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, in September last year, your offense was your problem, and now it's your defense is your problem. Defense played pretty good football for the most part. Offense was your problem. Now it's complete opposite.
Yeah. Sean Lacero, thank you for the super chat. We're just not very good. Bad tackling, bad eye discipline, poor coaching. We're not a good team right now. We'll lose some more. Season is lost.
Listen, Sean, let me tell you something, okay? I get the frustration. I do. Totally get it. And my compadres might not agree with me. But you played the two best teams on your schedule, and you lost by 3 points and 1 point, and you had a chance to win both of those games. Like if you take most of the schedule and put the most of the schedule in the first two games, you're 2-0. Like I get it. Now, are they going to have to play better to beat Arkansas on the road? Yes. Are they going to have to play better to beat USC? Yes. Are they going to have to play better to beat, other teams in the schedule? Yes. No question. I mean, NC State right now, the way I watch this game, I'm not feeling super great about their ability to stop NC State from scoring right now. I mean, now they should be able to score on NC State. But I'm not feeling great about that one. So they're going to beat. I mean, guys, BC gave up 30 points to Stanford. Notre Dame's going to score 100 on BC. Just like we gotta be upset, be frustrated, but we don't need to kind of jump off a cliff on this one. Like, could they lose more? Yeah, it's possible they could lose more, but again, the season's not lost. Two, they're not a sound football team, but there's a lot of teams they would have beat, even how bad the defense was if they'd have played them tonight. this is the team we said in the offseason was the best team Notre Dame's going to play this year. And if they'd have played this way 2 weeks ago, they're 1-1 because they'd have beat Miami if they played this way 2 weeks ago. So it's frustrating as heck, and they've got to clean some stuff up. But I just don't agree with this overall. They're a very poorly coached football team. They're not very good. I mean, it's a bit of a semantic thing. You're 0-2. I mean, I get it, but I just don't necessarily agree with that. I agree with the bad tackling, bad eye discipline, poor coach. I mean, there's some things in there I agree with Sean. I just think it's a little bit further than I would go on it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
JM, thanks for the super chat. Chris Ash D is trash. Christian Gray had an all-time terrible game. Last two losses are position problems and coaching. Why did you not punt up 3 on the 50? Also, please stop the Wildcat. It's not 2002.
Did you guys have a problem with the 4th and 1 decision? Not the play call, but the decision.
0.
That's what he did all last year.
No, it's one of those calls where if it converts, you're a genius, and if it doesn't hit, everybody's going to slander you for it. I mean,
he did the same thing against A&M last year at the 50-yard line in the third quarter when it was tied. So I didn't love the play call there, but I had no problem with the decision. You've got supposedly one of the best offensive lines of college football, and you've got, in my opinion, the best running back in college football. You got to freaking gain 1 yard on the team that has a mediocre run defense. I'm sorry. I got no problem with that call. The decision by Marcus Freeman. I didn't like the play call, but I had no problem with the decision.
Another one from Brandon Plensner. Thanks. A defensive head coach and still makes the wrong hires.
Yeah, I didn't love it at the time. Don't love it now. Hopefully by the end of the year, Chris Ash has proved us wrong. But there's a long way to go to get
very
there.
long way, because they're not going to have a game like this for a while. So, yeah,
like you got to be careful. Like if they go out there and shut out a few teams down the road, it's like, okay, that's great, but like you haven't played anybody good. And that's the thing. They go on a run here. It's great that they go on a run, but did you fix anything, or are you just winning with talent?
Peter Hall, thanks for the super chat. Defense has been neutered from attacking last year to passive this year. Looks like a shell of what it should be. Offenses are dictating when they shouldn't. Fear doesn't win.
Spot on analysis, Peter. Like seriously, I've had 3 or 4 buddies text me that same thing, that the defense has been neutered, and I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Rockney's house, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you. Chief Brody, thanks for the super chat. 3rd and 16, dropped interception. Lose on the last play. Familiar?
Yep.
Very.
Sounds a lot like 2023.
No, they dropped 3 interceptions in this game, so, Charlie Weiss's last belt loop, thanks for the super chat. I blame this on Marcus Freeman. The best defensive coordinator you could find was Chris Ash. The runner-up for the Natty, that's all you could get. This team is a shell of itself. Al Golden legacy destroyed in one off season, but I still love IB.
Thank you for that, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. We didn't lose the game.
I just have a hard time. Apparently, it's my fault. I had a couple people on the board said that it's my fault.
That they lost?
Yes, this is all my fault. Somebody on Twitter was like, we hyped them up. And I'm like, well, what do you expect me to say about a team that played for the national title last year and returned most of their best players? Like, okay, yes.
So
my fault. These players have regressed.
If we would have said that they were going to go 0-2 to start the season.
Been haters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's all good. It's all good. Comes to the territory. It's all good.
People
are frustrated. People are frustrated. I get it. And you got to have somebody to blame. It's all good.
Yes.
I put my big boy pants on every day, so can handle it.
I just think that's funny.
I think it's funny too. But
we have zero control over what they do
at
a game, by the way. Less than
we had a
0.
guy that stopped following us basically because where your kid decided to go to college. So there's some really weird
Shut up.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'll tell you about that later. Yeah. There's some weird people out there. But for most of it has just been frustration. And I
get that.
Because we all had high hopes for this football team. And there's no excuse for where they are.
I completely agree. Yeah,
totally
completely
get the
agree
frustration.
No, completely
Totally get
agree
the
with
frustration.
that. But to that guy, good riddance
Yeah.
to you. All right, Joe.
That's pretty much what I told him.
Joe, thanks for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. I hate to say it, but I'm rooting now for 0-12. Joe, and get this whole staff out of here. If Ash and Rudolph aren't fired Monday, then I question Freeman and his ability. I fear he's in over his head. They're not going to fire two guys.
The fact
on
that
Monday.
you called a coach who literally just took his team to the national championship game in over his head is a incredibly
It's just an overreaction.
emotional overreaction. Joe,
Yes,
I love you, man, and you've been a part of this show for a while.
Yeah.
But bro, come on, Joe. Come on, Joe. Come on.
A little bit.
Like, seriously.
Stymie Snurdly, thank you for the super chat. If my math is correct, A&M ran 35 plays on first down. By contrast, they only ran 11 third down plays. That's probably accurate. And that's really sad. Hazio3, thank you for the super chat. Offense has no rhythm. Ash has broken our D.
Agree with the last part. The first part,
yes
at
and no.
Times, yeah, but that's to be expected early in the season. I mean, we've talked about this. We said before the offense was going to need time to kind of get into a flow. We talked about that in the offseason because offense is usually further behind. You've got new players at receiver. You've got a brand new quarterback. Like, you're going to have that. But they freaking scored 40 points, 33 points tonight. It should have been enough to win the football game.
Right.
Go ahead, Trev. I saw that fired you up a little bit.
No, I was just laughing at the typically offenses are.
Right.
You know.
Oh.
Another one from Brandon. Thank you. Too much talent to let your coaching staff ruin your season.
Agree.
Colin Wyman, thanks for the super chat. This feels like BVG all over again. All over again.
Colin, I honestly, dude, I thought if you'd have said this to me after the people were saying this after the first game, and I was like, guys, come on. BVG, y'all know how I feel about BVG. Really? BVG, come on, guys. Let's chill out. Let's not jump off a cliff. And now I'm like, yep, one game. Yep. That's how bad tonight was. Like, seriously, that's how bad tonight was. Am I overreacting, guys? Am I overreacting by being like,
I'm not there yet.
Order bad as far as the game plan, the way it was executed, the way he called the defense, the way you underachieved with. Could you imagine if he would have called this game with the 2016 players?
I was just about to say, I'll take it a step further, and you can call this emotional if you want to, and I would totally get it. I think it's worse. This game specifically, because that 2016 defense didn't have a Leonard Moore and a Christian Gray and a Drake Bowen and an Adon Schuler and a Bryce
Avery
Young.
Freaking Sebastian on.
Yeah, I mean, with the talent level on this team, I think you could make the argument that it's more on the side of worse than it is on the same level.
Yeah. I got a few here from Sean O, so I'll bring a couple of these up here from.
He's got a bunch, and they were all this color, so
okay,
or at least a lot of them.
Some of them more, yeah.
So Sean O, thanks for the super chat. Wow, we got to the natty. This stinks. We don't have it. Just a question: how is our D line going to get better?
It's a fair question, Sean. I have to say I've been very disappointed by the ability of this defensive line or lack thereof to get to the quarterback. It's puzzling. I mean, Boubacar was an outstanding pass rusher last year. And you saw more Patelho tonight. The loss of Riley Mills has hurt a lot, but I really thought that we were going to see the defensive ends give more of that pressure, get more of that pressure. But they did play two pretty good tackles. I mean, we did rank this as the best offensive line that they would play this season. I thought they held up pretty well against the run for the most part. But the lack of pass rush from the D-line is frustrating. Very frustrating. I'm going to have to break down the film to see more why, but yeah, it was frustrating. I get it.
Another one from Sean. Thank you so much. Don't care if you comment. Just want to object to the Wildcat. 2 for 6. Boo. Love the Go Irish.
It's 2 for 6. Is that
maybe
they
like
only
2 times it
yards
worked,
on?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm not 100. I'd have to go back and actually look and see how often they were successful. I mean, they did convert the 1 4th down for sure. I don't think they ever got negative yards on it. So I mean, I think they got a no yard.
I thought there was it might have been that one, but there was one play, but they didn't touch anybody. They didn't block anybody on the play.
Right.
I thought they got a minus on the first 4th and 1, or it's the first 3rd and 1 they ran. I thought they ran. Didn't they go Wildcat on the first 3rd and 1?
I don't remember.
The drive that they punted. I thought that they did. I have to go back and look at it. But yeah, it's still frustrating.
Another one from Sean. Thank you so much. He goes, so easy. Thanks.
Yeah. And then there's another one. Thanks, Sean. All good. It's just frustrating. I think that was in response to somebody else.
We're there.
Yeah, I'm with
We're
you.
there.
And then here's a couple more.
Sean O, again, thank you for the super chat. Night, guys, what is one thing we need to change? We have to stick with one?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing they need to set changes is if I can wrap it up into one thing, the preparation is not good on defense, and it's got to change. Better preparation will lead to better performance on Saturdays. Now, what that looks like, that's a much longer conversation, but that's the one thing. This isn't a game day problem only. This is a problem that begins on the minute they start preparing for the upcoming opponent.
Sean O, Wildcat, ? No discussion. Has it ever worked? Those 4 points, too, were the difference.
Yeah, the short yards and Ethan Kaufman, super chat. Thanks, Ethan. The Wildcat runs on short yards is mind blowing. I didn't mind it at first. Like, look, you're trying to do something different. You're trying to catch them. I honestly didn't mind it at first. I didn't like that they kept going back to it. It's like, okay, especially when it was obvious that A&M had a plan for it.
Well, and my issue with the Wildcat is they didn't do anything except just snap it to him and have him run with it.
Right.
Like normally a Wildcat has at least a guy doing a jet motion. So there's the chance of an outside run.
Exactly.
Like you're at least putting them in a bind as to what you're going to do. And they didn't really do any of that. There was the one time he tried to bounce it outside, which obviously did not work. It was way too much of a one-dimensional Wildcat situation, which I did not like, because everybody, there were some people that I was talking to. Oh, well, they're just basically inserting Jeremiah Love for Riley Leonard. Well, yes and no, because Riley Leonard had Jeremiah Love lead blocking for him.
Right.
And you're sending the quarterback out to be a wide receiver who's not going to be blocking in space when he tries to cut it out. So like, you are removing the advantage that you had by the extra hat in the box offensively by taking your quote-unquote lead blocker and putting him out at wide receiver. I'm not saying you use CJ Carr as a lead blocker. I'm not saying that. I'm saying bring somebody else in to do that. But you don't have the advantage that you had when Riley Leonard was doing the design quarterback runs. So it's just different.
And this is the last one from Sean O.
Thank you, Sean. Call it 10-2 or worse.
I'm going to stay optimistic and say 10-2, but I'm doing that because I have to think that Marcus Freeman is going to make some changes. And again, changes doesn't have to mean you're changing personnel, responsibilities, and duties. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but like it doesn't have to mean that. Again, it's changes in how you prepare, changes in how you put a game plan together. A change could simply be you sit down with the defensive coordinator and say, you see what we've been doing the first 2 weeks? Enough of that crap. This is what we're going to do, because you clearly can't teach this, so we're going to do more of this. We're going to go back to this. But the point is it's got to change. And as disappointing as this is, as frustrating this is, we've sadly seen this before, which is frustrating. We saw this team start 0-2 and then win like 6 in a row, something like that. You know, we saw this team play really poorly for like a 3-game stretch in 2023. You know, and bounce back and play really well. I'm tired of having to learn from adversity, but we've seen it. So I'm just going to be optimistic tonight and say that they'll go 10-2. But guys, I say that simply because I'm trying to be optimistic. That's just really what it is. There's no justification for why they're going to go 10-2 because I have no clue what changes they're going to make. The only thing that I could point to is, again, they're still a talented football team, and I still feel like the quarterback and the offense are just going to keep getting better and better and better. And even if the defense doesn't change a lick, you're going to be able to outscore most of the teams in your schedule, because you literally just played probably the two best teams you're going to play all year, and you lost by 3 points and a point.
Yeah.
Maybe USC could be as good as them. Maybe NC State offensively could be as good as them, but I think NC State's defense is way worse than the two teams they've played so far.
Spoiler alert to the spread option show that we're going to do this week. Trev, take the over for Notre Dame here on out.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Bless you, Vince.
For all Notre Dame games, just take the over because it's going to be a shootout on both sides of the ball, and lots of points are going to be scored. So if you like offense,
Yep.
Nolan, Mark, thanks for the super chat. You can see the look on Sean's face. Chris Ash, down. Handed such a good secondary and saw multiple mistakes.
So I had to convince Sean to come on the show tonight. He was like, dude, I'm gonna go off. And I was like, then come on and go off. He actually restrained himself pretty well because Sean was guys could see it. He held back a lot tonight. Because he was pissed, like we all are. But you could see it.
Fighting Irish and 595. Thanks for the super chat. Reed is mid and had a career day in passing yards. Even if they won tonight, I don't know how we would feel any different. Well, we definitely feel different now.
I'd feel very different because they would won. But we said last week, Vince, that it just winning doesn't necessarily fix things. If they come out and play the same exact way and lose and win, you're still gonna have some concerns. But at least you look at it and say, hey, man, but
at least you won.
They won, right? But I mean,
exactly.
But that is kind of the issue. I mean, it's a troubling performance to say the least.
Here's what I can tell you. If they had won that game, they would have made one more play, right? One more play. They made one more play, and they win that game.
Drop one of the two interceptions that you dropped.
100%
catch one of them.
Yeah. If they win that game, we are still having the same discussion about the defense, by the way. Yeah. Like, we're having the same discussion about Chris Ash. We're having the same discussion about the defense. Like, that's not going to change because they still would have given up 34 points to a team they should never give up 34 points to. So we're still having that defensive discussion. We're just having it in a different light because they won the game.
We would also be talking about the performance of CJ Carr on that final drive a whole lot differently too.
Correct.
Like, that was an impressive performance.
Yeah, it was.
Like, that was good stuff. We'd be talking about the offense a lot differently, I think, also. If for all the frustrations that some people may have, I mean, I watched the offense go 12 plays and take 6 minutes off the clock and score a touchdown. I saw him convert a 3rd and 7 where CJ, does a great job reading it and getting the ball out to Malachi Fields. I see them convert a 3rd and 4 where Jeremiah Love makes a great run on 3rd and 4, just wanted it. I see him convert a 4th and 1, and then I see, Jeremiah just run hard to get that touch. I mean, I think that the perception of that performance would be different if they would have won the game, but we'd still be pretty pissed off about the defense. But you just said, hey, you survived it and you got the win and you're still controlling your destiny and you learned from it and you got time to fix it.
Yeah.
But this was not good.
Gabe A, thanks for the super chat. I know there's been a transition from man coverage to more zone, but there's got to be something else going on. The defense looks slow and confused.
Yeah, it's just
man, by the way.
Yeah, they do. Not always at the right times, but what it comes down to, Gabe, is Trev, it's not just that they're playing zone. It's just they clearly don't know how to teach it in a way where it's being executed. I mean, there's some calls they make schematically where you're like, it's not a terrible call, but they don't know how to execute it, which then makes it a terrible call because you're calling things that you haven't prepared your guys on how to execute. And how did you not put yourself in situations where you didn't know that they didn't know how to do that during a week of practice? That's why I say there's a preparation problem going on with this football team right now. Thoughts, Trev?
I'm in the same boat. Look, I think that zone coverage gets a bad rap because it's been executed so poorly. But I think that, one, put your players in a better position to succeed. On 3rd and 6, you ask them to drop to 7 yards. Why? Couldn't tell you. Not even in the slightest. Doesn't make any sense. And I have a feeling, unfortunately, that we're just going to continue to see it. And I'm going to be in that mindset until I get shown differently, because I was convinced that with 2 weeks to prepare for this team and you knew how they were going to attack you, I thought there's no way that they do the same thing, and they did the same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I actually, when used correctly, I am a fan of zone coverage. I'm not saying I prefer one or the other. Both can be executed well, but you don't have the personnel to run zone well. You're asking your 6'2" corner with 6'4" arms and your 6 foot tall corner with 6'3" arms to play off man, which just doesn't work. So look, I think because of how it's been implemented by Chris Ash, that zone defense as a whole just gets a bad rep. Zone, when ran correctly and understood correctly with the correct personnel, is a very useful defense.
Mm-hmm.
For example, what Texas did to Ohio State last year in the semifinal game and held Jeremiah Smith to his lowest output, I would assume, of his football career. And that's how you run it effectively. But they understood it and they knew how to do it. Just the difference.
Matt Colt, thanks for the super chat. Ash was handed a Lambo and traded it for a Honda Accord.
I mean, it's the analogy I used the other day. If we're going to do a car analogy, I said he was given a Ferrari and he popped open the hood and said, let's fix this change. Let's just start changing stuff. You know, like I've been handing this Ferrari. So let's pop the hood, start doing this with the engine, change this, change that, change the other thing. And it's not, you don't know what you're doing. Like it just.
Chad Osborne, thanks for the super chat. We probably can't beat SC with this defense. 8-4 ceiling with our secondary play against high octane passing offenses.
Maybe, but again, you know, guys, they're 0-2. They've lost by a combined 4 points to two teams that I think are better than USC. Yeah, USC was good tonight. USC scored 33 points against Purdue tonight. Come on, you know what I mean? Like.
Maybe
and 7 of those points were on a pick 6. So, like, could USC beat Notre Dame? Of course they could beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But, like, this is what I'm saying is, like, okay, if they played like they do tonight for the rest of the year, I don't know that there's 2 losses on the schedule. Because I don't know that there's anybody else on the schedule as good as Texas A&M. That's the point. Not that Notre Dame's going to fix anything, but it was like, is anybody else as good as Texas A&M that they can beat Notre Dame by a point? That's the difference. You know what I mean? Like, but Chad, it shouldn't even have to be that way though. Right? Like, so to your point, we shouldn't have to debate whether or not they will or won't beat future opponents if they played the exact same way they did tonight. While I believe it's true, it's an absurd thing that we have to even sit here and discuss right now. It's absolutely absurd. If they play like they did tonight, they're going to kill Purdue next week. They'll probably give up 24 points, but they might score 50. You know what I mean? Like, have you watched NC State's defense this year? It's terrible. It's definitely worse than Texas A&M. So they may give up 41 points again to NC State, but they may score 48 in that game. But it shouldn't have to be that way. And it's I'm pissed that I even have to make that statement, guys. If they play this way against future opponents, they may give up 30 points, but they're going to score 40 something. Like it shouldn't even have to. We just can't even believe this is a conversation we're having. After the way Notre Dame's played defense the last 2 years, I can't believe this is a conversation we're having. Michigan, after they won the title, hired a new defensive coordinator and lost a ton of talent from that team. And their team sucked last year on offense, but their defense was still pretty freaking good last season. With a new coordinator. After they won the title with a new coordinator and not being able to steal signals anymore. Defense was still really freaking good. Jay Smith, appreciate that super chat very, very much.
KJ, thanks for the super chat. I said it to my dad. The worst thing that happened to Notre Dame was the hold on the kickoff return.
Isn't that the most disgusting thing anyone's ever put into a chat?
It was in the middle.
It's true is what's disgusting about
I leaned over to Dylan and I said that exact same thing as he was running it back. I was like, well, at least they've got, all this time left.
A&M was not going to stop Notre Dame, in my opinion, on the next drive.
I actually wanted Notre Dame to have the ball last.
They would have had well over 2 minutes.
And all their timeouts.
Yeah. Well over 2 minutes left in the game.
At least 2 of them. But yes. Anyway.
Got a super chat from Florida Irish. Thank you very, very much. And then another super chat from Florida Irish here.
Thanks again. Fire Chris Ash tomorrow. Promote Mickens as an interim. What are we playing for with him at the helm?
Again, we don't advocate for firing here, but as we said, changes need to happen. If they wanted it, to Vince's point, would I be upset if they change responsibilities? No, I would not. Would any of you guys have an objection to that? I wouldn't have a problem if they promoted Mike Mickens to interim. I would have a problem if Marcus Freeman started calling plays again. I wouldn't have a problem if Al Washington and Mark Mickens were kind of co-coordinators the rest of the way. About the only thing I have a problem with is if they just don't change anything and just say, well, I'm just going to coach a little better this week. We're just going to prepare a little bit better this week. Okay. Whatever.
I will also say that Marcus Freeman doesn't have to tell us what he's doing either.
Well, and he shouldn't make a decision like that right after the game.
Absolutely.
If Marcus Freeman's like, if he's walking off the field ready to fire Chris Ash, to Florida Irish's point, he shouldn't. He should take the night, sleep it off, sit down, figure some things out, and then make whatever changes he wants to make. So, and I only say fire Chris Ash. I'm saying like if he felt the same exact way Florida Irish did, that's my point. You don't make decisions like that emotionally. You take the night and you figure out what you're going to do, and you have those conversations the next day. And then you don't necessarily have to tell us what that decision is.
Exactly. That would
be nice
point.
if they did, and
Sure.
they would have to tell us at some point in time because we're going to be watching games.
Look,
realizing
it'll be obvious.
No longer.
Yeah, it'll be obvious
right.
after the next game is over if he's not calling plays. Like, if all of a sudden he's in the booth, and you see Marcus Freeman with a play call sheet in front of him, like, okay, I kind of know what's going on. Yeah. But I don't hold the coach like he doesn't have to tell us anything. That's all I'm saying. He doesn't know it to us.
Yeah.
Maltavius, thanks for the super chat. This team is not going to rattle off 10 straight dubs.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. One game at a time.
They're capable of it. They're certainly capable. Again, they played the two best teams on their schedule, lost by 3 points and 1 point.
Oh, my.
Yeah, we're not bringing that stupid crap.
I was going to say, sorry, I saw that and I actually audibly.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Said something.
Oh, my goodness. Go ahead. He's not even 2-0. You okay? I'm going to call you a name.
Oh, but come on, he threw for 5 scores. Anyway, Jonathan Burns, thank you for this super
ridiculously dumb things out there tonight.
Because of all the things that are hurting Notre Dame right now, that ain't one of them.
Freaking knucklehead.
Anyway, sorry. Okay. Jonathan Burns, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. It's way harder to swallow when the talent is there. I'm still waiting on the O-line and the D-line driven program to start.
Trev, didn't you write some about this recently?
Sure did. Yep.
Sure IrishBreakdown.com. It's over there.
Yep. We talked about is Notre Dame truly an O-line D-line driven program, and basically the resounding answer was I mean, like it's not a definitive no. 2025 is not helping that case. But over the course of Marcus Freeman's tenure, it's not a definitive no, and it is certainly not a definitive yes. But Jonathan, that's where I'm at, man. That's why it's so hard to swallow. Look, at the end of the day, we wouldn't be this worked up about Notre Dame losing if we were just like, guys, you guys know us and credit us for being objective people. If Notre Dame just wasn't at a spot talent-wise or as a program, whether it be facilities or private chefs or whatever the heck you want to talk about, whatever you want to talk about, if they weren't at that spot, we would say they're just not at that spot. You lose to a top 10 team on the road and an undefeated SEC team at home. And it's like, yeah, this stings, nobody likes losing, but this is why this hurts so much, is because we talked about all the talent and it's still there. It's not like they just, succumbed to just all these unfortunate injuries in fall camp and now they're just shades of who they were. That's why it's frustrating, because I'm watching the people that we got to watch in spring and summer and fall camp and wrote about for the last 3 months just be put in continuous bad spots to not succeed. That's what's so frustrating.
And I had A&M as a playoff team this year. I think one of you two had Miami as a playoff team, if not both of you. Trev, did you? Okay, so Vince did. They didn't lose to bad football teams, guys. They like, there's stuff they got to fix. But to Trev's point, they shouldn't have lost either one of those teams. And they have not. Like, when was the last time that Notre Dame has played a game like that? I'd say maybe Georgia. I think Georgia's probably the only game that I can think of since the A&M game last year, where I felt like Notre Dame's lines were the best in the game. I thought Notre Dame's D-line outplayed Georgia's D-line, and I thought, as you know, Notre Dame's offensive line wasn't great, but they were better than what Georgia's offensive line was. Like, they held up better against Georgia's defensive line than Georgia's offensive line held against Notre Dame's. Their lines didn't outplay Ohio State. They didn't outplay Penn State. They didn't. I don't count Indiana because they're not that same kind of program. They did not outplay Louisville. Louisville's offense. I thought Louisville's lines played better than Notre Dame's lines in that game. I thought Notre Dame had better skill players, and better speed, and basically came down to that. But it's I'll just say this: more often than not, in big games, Marcus Freeman's teams have not won the battle of the trenches in big games against really good teams. Is that an unfair thing to say? If either one of you guys want to push back on that, feel free. No, you don't want to disagree. You don't want to come at me, or you guys agree with me?
Both.
Okay. Okay.
It just,
I know how Trev feels. I know that Trev. I'm speaking to the Trev because he and I've talked about this in shows, but I was curious of your opinion on that, Vince.
Yeah. Jay Smith, thanks for the super chat. What does Marcus Freeman do? Does he fire Chris Ash and take over the defensive play calling? What happened to play calling from Mike Denbrock? I'm seriously disappointed in Marcus Freeman.
I mean, look, are there things Mike Denbrock could have done better? Sure. But they scored 33 points and had 420 plus yards of offense. I mean,
right. Look, at the end of the day, everybody's going to be disappointed in Mike Denbrock. After the Miami game, they didn't give the ball to Jeremiah Love enough. In this game, they're giving him direct snaps, and the play calling still sucks. So that is a wash.
Force feed the ball to Jeremiah Love. There's no better way to. I saw that in the chat 30 times this week. Mm-hmm. Saw it on the boards 30 times this week. Well, there's no better way to force feed him the football than to snap it right to him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I mean, Jeremiah Love had 27 touches today. Yeah. So kind of overcompensated for last week.
This is a hilarious comment. I'm sorry. This just made me laugh.
AST12321, thanks for the super chat. Calling Chris Ash BVG 2.0 is an insult to BVG.
Never thought I would see that come across a super chat and not think someone was being sarcastic, but he isn't.
He's just sitting at home with his popcorn like, finally, Driscoll could talk about somebody else.
Oh, man.
Brandon, thanks for the super chat. The worst part of your schedule is over with, so time to make some changes. Freeman strikes me as oblivious or complacent or both.
It's neither one of those things. Neither one of those things.
Nita
Beta, I think is what it is.
Nita Beta, thank you for the super chat. It is the execution. What are we talking about?
She had another super chat that kind of said the same thing, which I appreciate. But no, look, I think we talked enough during the show that there were execution problems. But at the end of the day, whose responsibility is that? Like, that also comes down to coaching. And you're seeing this team regress in some very important areas. Why? Is that players didn't work hard? They're not locked in. They're not focused. Okay, even if we granted that, whose fault is that? Look, Nita, I've always been this way. I've always been if your players as a whole are not performing, that's a coaching problem. If you have a player here, a player there, that's a player problem. But when these things are systemically happening on your football team, that's just not execution from the players, and that has to come from somewhere. Where does that come from? If your offensive line continues to perform, do you just say, well, your players aren't any good, or do you maybe say maybe their offensive line coach isn't very good? I mean, that's the reality of what you have to look at when games like this happen, and when they happen more than once, when they happen more than they should. Notre Dame's on a 3-game losing streak, Nita. I mean, they've lost 3 straight games to ranked opponents. That's. I mean, are the players not good enough? I mean, what's the reason why, and who gets the blame? At the end of the day, I still say it comes down to it's a coaching thing. You got to prepare your players to perform.
Little guy 131, thanks for the super chat. Execution lost you the game on a few plays, but better play calling and the game isn't even close. Both can be true, and I want the latter.
If we're talking better play calling on defense, agree.
John Monty, thanks for the super chat. All the talent Notre Dame has on defense, Chris Ash turns it into crap. That's short, sweet, and to the point, and not wrong. Jacob Watson, thanks for the super chat. Can you guys call him out in the press conference? It's not really how it works.
Yeah.
Well, and it just wouldn't serve a purpose.
Exactly. A lot of people want people in the press conferences to ask the quote unquote hard questions. You don't want us to ask hard questions. You want us to be. You want
me
us
go
to
in there and
very
pick a fight
negative
with
people.
Marcus.
Yeah,
Freeman.
exactly.
To do.
And that's not going to happen. And it's not going to get you anywhere. And he's not going to give you the answer that you're looking for. So you also have to understand how
This would make me look like a jackass.
Correct.
There's ways to call. There's ways to ask tough questions, and I'm reading some of the transcript, and I have to go back and watch it. I don't know who asked what questions, but like there's some pretty pressing questions in tonight's press conference. I mean, like Trev, you and I kind of like to have some jokes about, some of the questions that get asked at press conferences, especially from, the TV side of things. But I'm looking at here the transcript from tonight. And first question is, what do you see from the side of the ball and why is it not living up to recent standards? Talking about the defense. How do you compartmentalize 0-2 with the talent you guys have as a whole season ahead of you and where you go from here? That's a very fair question. That's like, next question. I didn't know if you saw from him after the game. You talked about the Miami game. You said all your goals are in front of you now that you're 0-2 and you don't have a conference affiliation. Are your goals still in front of you? That's a kind of a challenging question. How frustrating has it been? The pass defense just couldn't sort of come through tonight. Why did A&M have so much success there? That's the kind of pressing question that you're asking. You know what I mean? Like, question about CJ Carr. As you evaluate your defense going forward, is there any chance that you would make a change if it's called? How it's called, like who calls it? You're asking him, are you going to get rid of Chris Ash as your play caller? Like, what else do you want us to say? And then if he says no, do you want the reporter to then be like, well, why not? And then argue with him about it? So, as the pass rush kind of struggled to get pressure on Reed tonight, did you try anything different to create pressure? And why did you feel like it wasn't getting home? Like, those are pretty good questions from the Notre Dame media tonight. But I don't know, like you would say, call them out. What exactly does that mean? You want me going to the press conference like, hey, coach, are you finally willing and ready to admit that Chris Ash was a bad hire? That would be incredibly unprofessional of me. But here's how I call him out, and here's how I challenge him. This show, I know stuff that we say in the show gets back to him. I know it does. And that there's different ways to do it, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Just going into press conference and just going at him like that, it doesn't really help.
Jacob Toth, thanks for the super chat. Is Freeman good at hiring? My understanding is that he hired Ash because Urban Swarbrick picked Golden, and everyone else is fickle.
Trevor, I'd have to say that Marcus Freeman's hiring so far has been up and down. I think some of the hires he's made have been pretty good. Some of the hires he's made have been pretty bad, and some of the hires he's made have been, like I don't know that there's a much better hire that you could have made than Dylan McCullough as your running backs coach. And his first offensive line coach hire was Harry Heastan. That was a pretty good one. You hired Mike Mickens. You promoted Max Bulla, who I think is a heck of a coach. I had some concerns about Marty Biaggi as the special teams coordinator. I think for the most part, Marty Biaggi's done a pretty darn good job as their special teams coordinator. Al Golden was a strong hire. Swarbrick picked Golden, I think, is not accurate. I think Swarbrick liked Golden. I think that was made clear. He would not force Al Golden onto Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman liked that hire, which is why he let Al Golden run the defense the way he wanted to run the defense. So, Chancey Stuckey was a bad hire. Mike Brown, I think, is still a good hire. We got to see. He's got to continue to do a better job. But It's been up and down. But every coach has misses. Nick Saban had some really bad hires. Urban Meyer, I've said this before, in 2016, thought it was a good idea to put Tim Beck and Ed Warner in charge of the offense, and it was a disaster. But what did he do? Right after the season, he made a change, brought in Tom Herman, and they, it didn't bring Tom Herman. Tom Herman was before that. Who did he bring in afterwards? Was it Ryan Day? Was that when he brought in Ryan Day as offensive coordinator? I think it might have been. Because I think that might have been. But anyway, point is, every coach makes bad hires. The great ones learn from them quickly and move on. Yeah, he did come in 2017. Ryan Day was there in 2017. So, that's where I'm at, Trev. It's he brought in Kevin Wilson and Ryan Day. That's a big upgrade over Tim Beck and Ed Warner, his offense coordinator. But I guess my point is, Nick Saban hired Tosh Lapua as his defensive coordinator. That was a bad hire. He quickly moved on from it. Every coach makes bad hires. The great ones recognize it pretty quickly and fix it. And that's what we're going to have to learn. We're going to learn that about Marcus Freeman.
Hawsey03, thanks for the super chat. Chill, Trev. Remember, sacks don't matter.
I think this might be sarcastic, but sacks are a part of the evaluation of the pass rush.
Beezer12, Washing Beard, thanks for the super chat. In times like this, I want to be down, but then I remember St. Sebastian, and I realize it could be worse. Go Irish. Let's win out.
I'm all for the last part for sure.
Nita Beta, thanks for the super chat. They don't practice hard. It's evident.
I do have that concern for this team. I didn't have that concern for last year's team. I honestly do have a little bit of a concern of that. Like, Trev, you talked about earlier overcorrections. When you look at how many injuries they had last year, did they overcorrect and how they prepare? That they're practicing differently to avoid all those injuries, and it's making them not as disciplined or physical or whatever? That's a fair question. It's a very fair question.
Yeah, for sure.
Relly Q, thanks for the super chat. Went to look this guy back up, and my phone auto-corrected to Chris Ash, defective coordinator, and I can't say it was wrong.
That's really funny.
Aiden Manami, what couple players played best tonight?
Oh, I mean, CJ Carr played great. Jadarian Price played great. Jeremiah Love had some big-time plays tonight. Eli Raridan played great tonight. Defensively, I'd probably say Kingston was in my top group. I'd put Gabriel Rubio in my group of guys that played really well. Drake Bowen had a couple big mistakes, but I thought overall I played. I mean, I'm watching. I got the game on the background. The hit he made on Marcel Reed at the goal line.
Oh,
he had about three punishing hits tonight.
Stopping a kid in his tracks.
Yeah, I thought Donnie Heinisch played really well tonight. So I mean, there were some guys that played well, especially offensively.
G Unite 75, thanks for the super chat. They had KVA down in a wide 9 to the short side of the field in a 3rd and long and had him spy Reed, who ran to the wide side for a first.
Yeah, dude.
That's why you don't.
Vince talked about that earlier. Sometimes I'm looking at stuff like, I honestly don't have a clue what you're doing. Like, did you run this on CFB 2026 because you're trying to get reacclimated to college football and
just
dominated with this in CFB 26, and for some reason it's not working in real life.
Taking one of your most athletic players and trying to make him into a spy. Okay.
Yeah.
Rice Briner, thank you very much for the super chat. Even if Buckner holds correctly, A&M still likely drives the field to tie and then win in overtime. No excuse for this defensive performance.
Yeah.
Right there.
I go back to it. I don't know that I have a ton of faith in Notre Dame stopping Texas A&M when they only have 25 yards to go.
Greg Grammelspacker, thanks for the super chat. Defense is an abomination. Looking like 8-4. Sad.
I'd still be a little disappointed at 8-4, but we had another question that was kind of similar to this down here, guys, that I'll pull up real quick. But Garrett Medford, thank you for the super chat, Garrett, said 9-3 is far more realistic than 10-2, sadly. I don't know that I'd say far more realistic, but I think 9-3 is more realistic than 8-4 at this point in time, just because of who's left on the schedule and the fact that, again, the two best teams you played beat you by 3-1, and you had a shot to win both games. So the only way to me that I think this team falls apart is if they mentally and emotionally check out. And that'll tell us, Trev, you had mentioned earlier about leadership, still some questions about that. It's still early, but this is when your leadership truly shows its colors, is how you respond to something like this. But at the end of the day, there's a lot this team has to prove. A lot.
Greg Grammelspacker, thank you for another super chat. Chances Miami and A&M both run the table. These are actually good losses, combined 4 points, and Notre Dame finishes 10-2. Try not to laugh while typing. The odds of them both going undefeated are very, very, very slim.
The odds of either going undefeated to me are slim, and not because they're not good football teams, but they both have some very tough games left on their schedule. Now, Miami had a great win tonight. I mean, they smacked South Florida. I mean, dominated South Florida. They got to play Florida next week, but then they still have at Florida State. They still have at SMU. They still have at Pitt, at Virginia Tech. By the way, did you guys see Virginia Tech got dominated tonight by Old Dominion? The Brent Pry era, I think, is over, but there's still some losable games on there. But I mean, Miami's Louisville at home is going to be a tough one. NC State at home is a game to keep an eye on. They've just got to avoid those "what the heck was that" games that's plagued them in the past. And then A&M's got a, they've got a even more challenging schedule left. I mean, they've got to play Auburn at home, Mississippi State at home, Florida at home, at Arkansas, at LSU, at Missouri, home against South Carolina, home against Samford, at Texas. By the way, huge shout out to Clark Lee and the job he did getting Vanderbilt. They smacked South Carolina. We talked about that, I think, on our show on Thursday, Trevor. Like, I have not been impressed with South Carolina so far. And
no, I know Lenore Sellers, I
think,
think, got knocked out of that game too.
Yeah.
Which
they said, I think it said a head injury is, I think, what they said he had. But I mean, yeah, that was rough. Great win for Vanderbilt, though. First time, I think I saw first time they've been 3-0 to start season since something like 2014 or something like that. I think is what I saw. Hopefully, this team doesn't start calling out teams like that one did. I think that's the year they said, we want Bama. And Bama beat them by like 60.
TJ Kreider, thanks for the super chat. Without bad losses, we competed. Is 10-2 playoff berth really out of the question? I personally don't think so. Nobody looks like a world beater this year. Not used to the O scoring this much. It's been a while.
TJ, I mean, right now I'm not super concerned with the playoffs. I'm just worried about beating Purdue. To your question, is Notre Dame capable of getting the playoffs? I think you guys talked about it. One of you two talked about it at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
They're certainly capable of still being a playoff team. I mean, a lot of things can happen. But like, I think Vince, you said it, but you're probably going on the road.
Yeah.
You're probably not at home.
It's an uphill
possible.
climb. It's an uphill climb once you're into the playoff.
I mean, Ohio State went 10-2 last year and lost to an 8-5 team, and they still hosted. But
true,
they also had a win over a top 5 Penn State team, on the road or at home.
You need things to happen.
They played them on the road, right?
You need things to happen to help.
Right.
You.
They don't have Notre Dame doesn't, unless USC just still dominates until they play them. There's not going to be that Penn State win that Ohio State had, right? With their 10-2 last year. So it's an uphill climb. But is the playoffs possible? Yeah, of course it is. It's just going to be tough. And Vince's comment was spot on. You're no longer in control of your own destiny.
Yeah.
Super chat from Jacob C. Appreciate you, Jacob. And then here's another one from Jacob.
Chris Ash must go. Both losses thus far, direct result of losing Al Golden and hiring Chris Ash to come in and try to fix something that wasn't broken. Point blank, period.
I still don't understand the whole. Sean said it. I mean, he said it pretty directly. Like, he lied. He said that, it's still, we're going to run the Notre Dame defense and all that. This isn't the Notre Dame defense. It's even close to the Notre Dame defense.
Yeah, that's the disappointing part.
I mean, it is if you're trying to run the 2016 Notre Dame defense.
Right. There you go.
He didn't say what year.
Travis Salty. I love it. Brock Fonville, thank you for the super chat. Brock's got another one, Vince.
ND hasn't lost a game while scoring 40 points since Texas 2016. We can officially say this has the worst defense since 2016. They lost in 2019 by giving up 40.
No, he says they haven't lost a game while scoring.
Oh,
40.
scoring 40.
Yeah.
That's actually, it would be Clemson overtime. They scored 45.
No, they haven't lost a game since scoring over 40. Notre Dame hasn't lost a game since scoring.
Oh, I got it now. It's 3 a.m.
It's all good, man. Yeah. This is probably the worst defense
Words are
since 2016.
I don't even think it's close. Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
David Galito, thanks for the super chat. We have a quarterback. Carr is going to do great things for us. Offensive line made some progress. Agreed. Defense needs a lot of work. Everything needs to be on the table. How about revisiting the last few years' defensive scheme?
100%, David. I also agree with your comment that they have a quarterback. I'm not trying to like spin like, hey, some positives out of this. You lost. There's no positive spin to that, but it doesn't mean you can't still take some things from the game that you're happy about. And to your point, like, yes, this is just CJ Carr's second career start. Seriously. Like, okay. It's only going to get better from here.
Garth Cassidy, thanks for the super chat. Pete Bavacqua's got to make changes.
It's not Pete Bavacqua's job to make changes. It's Pete Bavacqua's job is certainly to check in on the head football coach and see what's going on and ask questions, and that's totally fine. But no, we're not at the point now where he's got to step in the way that Jack Swarbrick did with Brian Van Gorder. That was the third year of Brian Van Gorder.
Right.
I just wish Jack Swarbrick would have stepped in before that, but shouldn't have had to. But we're not there yet. This is still up to Marcus Freeman to fix this, and hopefully he will.
Matt BWR2, do we not see the middle of the field? Do we not see the middle of the field on offense? Where are the great house targets? BVG is back and maybe improved, meaning worse.
I get that. Trev, I'm curious your thoughts on this. We'll talk more about it. There were some middle of the field throws, the Eli Raridan one, but you still have a first-year quarterback who's making his second career start. And one of the throws he made over the middle, he messed up on and threw a pick. I don't know that attacking the middle of the field a ton is something that I'm going to want to do. I don't think you need to always throw over the middle of the field to get Jaden Greathouse the ball either. I think that's certainly a problem. But I understand them being a little hesitant to throw the ball over the middle of the field a ton. I do. What are your thoughts on that, Trev?
I mean, it's not even like they have to. CJ Carr passed for like 293 yards tonight and threw like 3 passes over the middle of the field. So that's not really something that I'm too concerned about, if I'm being honest with you, Matt. Are the opportunities there? Yeah, absolutely. But to get the ball to Jaden Greathouse, I mean, watch what he did last year against Florida State when Mike Denbrock was calling the plays. I mean, dude can make plays after the catch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to throw anybody a screen, throw it to your 6'1", 215-pound slot receiver.
There you go.
I mean, there's very easy ways to get them the football, to get him the football, and we just haven't seen it. It's not – I agree with you. I do think, especially as the season goes on, because I will say now that teams are starting to get more and more film of CJ Carr, they're going to look to take away perimeter throws, and you will have to be willing to attack the middle of the field at some point. But as of tonight, like my issue, the reason why Notre Dame lost tonight was not because they didn't attack the middle of the field on offense. That's not something that I am a believer of from this loss.
Lucen Vaymont, thanks for the super chat. Bad calls, which affected the game, but we shouldn't let that be a factor anyway.
Lucian, I agree, man. That's just there's some bad calls, but it shouldn't have come to that.
Mm-mm.
But at the same time, you also expect an officiating crew to do their freaking jobs, and they didn't. I thought the targeting call was terrible. I thought the blatant hold on Donovan Heinisch was terrible. And it's not like it happened. Like if Marcel Reed was like here on his throw as he tackles Donovan Heinisch, I'm like, look, Donovan Heinisch wasn't going to impact that play. I could have, but he still had to hold ball. He wasn't even in his throwing motion yet when Donovan started to get tackled. It should have been called, but it shouldn't have come to that point. You should have been off the field already. You got, you had the 3rd and 16 several plays before that where you got called for holding.
Yep.
It was about to be 4th and 16, y'all. It's about to be 4th and freaking 16.
Yep.
Shouldn't have come to that. They shouldn't even had a play on that.
He didn't need to hold on that. He didn't need to.
Mm-mm.
Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Absolutely no pressure from the defensive line. I'm pretty sure Brian could have sat in that A&M pocket making passes.
Hey, I got an arm, dude. I can throw dimes. I don't appreciate that, man. I got some skills, bro. Come on now. Hate on me a little bit, but I could have at least gone 17-37. Probably would have hit a couple of them deep balls he missed because I wouldn't be able to throw it as far as he did to overthrow those guys. So my underthrow probably would have got there. Yeah, hurts a little bit, Matt. It hurts.
Oh, Chris Hayden, thanks for the super chat. Zone could be a better option with better QB pressure. Got a false sense of pressure ability against our O-line in camp.
Yeah, possibly. I still don't think the things they're doing schematically with the defensive line with the zone behind it are not sound. I mean, you're just literally just saying, hey, go pressure the quarterback. There's not a lot of really good twists and different things like that I think you could do to be more effective. But yeah, the zone could be better with better pressures, true to a degree. But I mean, they're just turning people loose. Like, how quickly would you have had to get the quarterback on a play where they just don't cover Mario Craver on an over route?
Yeah.
Tyler B. Christian Gray is an abomination to all DBs. I'd rather watch paint dry than watch him anyway. He was not the worst DB tonight.
No.
So.
No. Yeah. I mean,
That's all
Hobbs was. Yeah. It's look, Christian's got to be better. It's
100%.
He played awful tonight. He's got to be better. The missed tackle, the once again, not trusting your technique. There's just he needs to be better than this. He was better than against A&M last year.
Sean O, another one from Sean. Can we all agree that IB is amazing, objective, and fun?
I think we certainly should agree on that. I think we should all be able to agree on that one. I know everybody here agrees on that one.
I mean, why would I not? Akshat Shikar, thank you for the super chat. What is the percentage of our nickel issues today or Hobbs personally versus schematic usage of him?
Say 80% him, 20% usage. And the 20% usage is just clearly he's not comfortable in zone. Carson Hobbs is very athletic. He has no coverage instincts really at all. And you're asking him to make some decisions that I don't think he's capable of making. But tonight, I don't know what, knowing that Devontae Smith got hurt, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Nick Jensen, thanks for the super chat. What would you guys do to fix the back seven? This has been my biggest issue all season. We're worse from a technique standpoint with our corners and safety. Guys are doing things I've never seen them do.
Nick, I'm going to be honest with you. I appreciate you also mentioning the safeties in with this because the corners have been getting a lot of flack tonight. This has been the most passive Notre Dame safety room I've seen in quite some time. Ramon Henderson and DJ Brown might have not have always made the play or have always been in the correct spot, but they flew downhill when they were asked to. And this safety room, once again, in back-to-back games, has played some of the most passive back-end football that I've seen in quite some time. So, simple answer from me, and I'm pretty sure I echo this from the other guys. What do you do to fix the back seven? Give Mike Mickens the keys to the secondary. Let him be the defensive pass game coordinator and go back to what made you so great in 2023 and 2024. I know it sounds kind of gloomy, but I do believe that the fix is that simple. You have quite literally the same two starting corners that you had for the majority of last season. You have one of your returning starting safeties coming back in a Don Schuler, and you have a plethora of long, lanky, athletic guys. And I think that that's something that would be a relatively easy fix. On paper, it's easy, but the execution of that actually happening is the more difficult part.
Very well said, Trevor.
Agreed. Nailing it. GFS, thanks for the super chat. I understand growing pains with the new D coordinator, but I never expected it to be this bad. I'm convinced Ash watched no old tape and took note of what his players' strengths were.
Spot on. There shouldn't have been growing pains with a new defensive coordinator when you returned your entire coaching staff from last year and you returned most of your best players. You lost Jack Kaiser. You lost Xavier Watts, obviously great players. You could say you lost Riley Mills. I watched Notre Dame beat Georgia and Penn State without Riley Mills, and with Howard Cross playing very mediocre football. Most of the players you had, except for Xavier Watts and Jack Kaiser, in those two wins over Penn State and Georgia, in which, by the way, you gave up 34 points combined in the Sugar Bowl and Orange Bowl. So touchdown less than what you gave up to Texas A&M at home tonight. There should not have been growing pains when you returned that much talent on the coaching staff and on your roster. The only reason there's growing pains is because he came in arrogantly said, I know better. And I think your last part is spot on. I'm convinced Chris Ash watched no old tape and took note of what his player strengths were. The hyperbole is the no old tape thing. Obviously, he watched old tape, but I don't know that it's something he spent a ton of time on, and he's clearly not coaching to his player strengths.
Garrett Medford, thanks for the super chat. Reason I say it is far more realistic is because this team has to prove they won't make mental errors and play better than situational football to avoid the unavoidable random close game bound to happen over the next 10 games.
I hope so. I mean, the reality is the next game you play, you could play the exact same way you did tonight and still win by 2-3 touchdowns. But I don't know that in 2 weeks you can do that in Arkansas, because they might be able to outscore you.
I mean, Arkansas put up over 500 yards of offense. They also gave up about 500 yards of offense.
Right.
So, again, take the over.
And one thing that I will say is, awesome as CJ Carr has looked, which he has looked extremely awesome the first couple games, you are continually putting your redshirt freshman quarterback in his first season at the helm in just constant shootouts every week.
Nope.
That's just not something that you can do. That's not sustainable for success. It just isn't.
Yep. And then last one from Maddie, BWR2. All in good fun. You guys are awesome. Is Carson Hobbs this bad, or does Chris Ash make him look worse than he is? I think it's more so it's worse than he is. I think Carson Hobbs is a very athletic player, very tough player, very strong player. I think he'd be fine just kind of lining up and saying, hey, cover that guy. But, I think they're not putting him in some great positions. But like the one seam route he gave up, it was a post-snap switch. The slot went inside, running back, who was a receiver, lined up in the backfield, ran a seam, and he just played it poorly. That's one of those ones where it's like, you got to play that better, dude. That's on you. But there's a lot of other times you're asking him to do some things he's clearly not comfortable doing or doesn't know how to do. So, we lost Devontae Smith. Right, exactly. And you got to know who's on the field now and play to his strengths. Look, you just can't convince me that this many players regressed from last season to this season, and it's just about them. It's not about coaching. You just can't convince me of that. You can't convince me that Marcus Freeman stopped, forgot how to coach football. You can't convince me that Al Washington and Mike Mickens and Max Bulla forgot how to coach football. You can't convince me of that. There's one thing that changed from last year, dramatically changed, and it's the coordinator. And, but at the end of the day, guys, Marcus Freeman is allowing this to happen. I mean, again, I think what we saw from Marcus Freeman is this offseason is overreactions to certain things. Overreactions to the man coverage getting beat at the end of the game against Ohio State. Overreaction to all the injuries they had last year. Overreaction to several things. And you're just like, I think you've overcorrected a little bit. And now it's up to him to recognize that and fix it. So there it is.
All right. Well, everybody, appreciate you hanging out with us. We need this group talk, this group therapy after games like that. And so it works just as much for us as it does for all of you. And so we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We still have 4-digit number of people in the chat right now watching, and we appreciate every single one of you. And like I said, this is therapy for all of us. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We're going to have a ton more content coming your way. On the premium message board at boards.irishbreakdown.com. Then, of course, also our normal shows that we have at 1 o'clock and then 5 o'clock. every day. And then Trevor and I will be back on Wednesday this week, Wednesday night, with the spread option show. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. So we're just going to keep chugging along, doing our thing. Going to let you know how things are going over at Notre Dame and what they need to do to win a game, frankly. And that's, going to be the hot topic of conversation over the next few days. So definitely check it out. Boards at irishbreakdown.com. Check out irishbreakdown.com for a bunch of great written content. You're going to see that. And subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your family and friends, all of those things. We really appreciate all of you. My allergies are kicking my butt right now, so the meds have officially worn off. So that means it's time for us to sign off. So for Brian and Trevor, I'm Vince, and we will talk to you next time on the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by FanDuel.